start.
There was a season high for Pelfrey. Walked only 1 in Boston in those 7 innings.
Well, here's the Lexus Mets defense. Beltran back out there in center field after taking a couple days off for that bruised tibia. Sheffield and Pagan flanking him. Right, Ramon Martinez again at shortstop. Castillo and Tatis getting the start against the left-hander for Florida. And Santos, who has become, well, how do you say it, the #1 guy.
Well, it becomes very interesting as you look at Freddie Gonzalez, the Florida manager, because Brian Schneider is back with the Mets, and Schneider will be activated tomorrow, and the Mets are going to have to decide whether to carry 3 catchers or whether somebody has to go.
Could be a tough decision.
Emilio Bonifacio got off to a roaring start this year. It's been anything but roaring since then. He takes a strike. Over the last 39 games, Bonifacio hitting just .201 after that outrageous start that lifted him to the top of the league in batting average and runs scored over the first 2 weeks of the season.
The one stat I look at, Gary, 46 strikeouts by your leadoff hitter is just not good.
And his on-base percentage just .286. Slaps one foul, and it's 1-2. And is that just a matter of a guy who got off to a good start and people went to school on him, or is it just things evening out?
I think evening out. I never saw him at this point in his career as a .330 hitter. He looks like a guy that you wouldn't really have at the top of your lineup, even though he's that fast.
Late swing foul, and it's 1-2. Mike Pelfrey coming off what you could argue was his best start as a Met, matched up against Josh Beckett in Boston on Saturday night.
It almost seemed as though all the wheels were clicking for Pelfrey. He was really pitching, not throwing. And what I mean by that is that he all of a sudden had a sequence of pitches to go to. Start him off with a get-me-over slider, come back with a fastball in. It wasn't all fastballs in, which he can sometimes do.
Slap toward third, just foul.
You really have to watch out. We saw David Wright there playing back now because of 2 strikes. You don't have the threat of the bunt. But if he chops one a couple hops to right, it's going to be a close play at first base. That's how fast Bonifacio is.
That is his #1 tool, is his speed, especially coming out of that left-hand batter's box. And he fouls off another one, so he's making Pelfrey work early. Bonifacio, who played with the Nationals last year, coming over in that deal that sent Scott Olson over to Washington. He's been playing third base most of the time, but shortstop tonight with Hanley Ramirez out. Ramirez not starting for the 2nd straight game. 2-2. Shallow center field. Beltran got a late start in, but he's there to make the grab for the first out. Good to see Carlos Beltran back patrolling in center field for the Mets after missing the last 2 games with a bruise just below his knee.
Well, you have to say, though, Angel Pagan, who's playing in right field, did a nice job in center field in his stead. But you want your #1 Gold Glover out there as much as possible.
And I think it bears being said that Beltran is going to experience some discomfort running on that knee, and now it's just a matter of pain tolerance for him to stay in the lineup. Here's Chris Coghlan, the 23-year-old rookie who's been up with the Marlins for about a month, and he takes a strike. Coghlan, who had a fine college career at the University of Mississippi as a third baseman, is playing left field these days, and he rolls one out to Ramon Martinez at short, and the toss to Tatis in time for the 2nd out. So 2 out and nobody on. And now Dan Uggla comes to the plate.
Well, we were trying to ask why the Marlins got off to that great start and now they slowed down. Well, their 3rd hitter is batting .216. I mean, that's obvious.
Well, Uggla plugged into that 3 hole with Ramirez out. But all of a sudden he has started to hit a little bit. 5 home runs in his last 9 games. But you really go back to the All-Star break last year. Dan Uggla has just not been the same guy since that 3-error, 3-strikeout game in the All-Star game last summer, whether that was the reason or not.
Well, I think for Dan Uggla, looking at him as a former pitcher, he's the kind of guy who's a mistake hitter. So if you make your pitches, you're going to get him out. He's not going to be the kind of guy that's going to hit a pitch on the corner. But you make a mistake, unbelievable pop.
Pelfrey comes inside to him 2-1. Uggla has struck out 42 times this year, which is not bad for him. Great movement on that sinker. 2-1, and that fastball rides inside. 3-1.
Well, you don't want to walk Ugla here. Cantu has been the Met killer of the season anyways. Who is on deck? Jorge Cantu. There he is.
Cantu's been battling that sore hand and wrist, his left hand, all season. Right down the middle, strike to Ugla.
One of the benefits of sitting up here doing these games is you see the opposing team and you see a guy like Cantu, you go, you know what? He's a really good player, solid player for a ball club.
Well, the Marlins began their year 11-1. And up until their last series in Philadelphia earlier this week, Freddie Gonzalez's team had fallen off the table. They managed to win 2 out of 3 against the Phillies, and they hope that's going to get them pointed back in the right direction. 3-2 to Ugla. Pop foul, first base side. That'll go onto the dugout roof.
Well, I think what happened, they came into the season, I think their starting pitching was one of their strengths, and they were so good, their young starting pitchers, early. But either from injury and not pitching as well, that's why they've fallen off the map.
Well, what we felt when we saw the Marlins early was that their bullpen and their defense would catch up to them, but their offense has struggled too. Grounded down toward third, a foul ball. I mean, the Marlins have just a .246 team batting average, third from the bottom in the league. They have just a .322 on base percentage. That's fourth from the bottom. And they haven't even hit as many home runs as they have in the past.
Well, I think they're a little right-handed heavy. That's one thing. And I think they missed Mike Jacobs in that lineup.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Ugla. He got him. Foul tip held by Santos. Side retired. First strikeout for Mike Pelfrey as he sets down the Marlins 1-2-3. Mets come to bat against the rookie left-hander Sean West in the bottom of the first with no score. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup tonight. Angel Pagan again in the leadoff spot with Jose Reyes on the disabled list for another week or so. Omir Santos gets the start behind the plate. Carlos Beltran back in the lineup, and Luis Castillo coming off a terrific series against Washington, now facing his former team. Well, when you go against the Washington Nationals and the Florida Marlins, you're going to face some young pitching, and this is Sean West's second start of the season. He's compared a little bit to Randy Johnson, 6'8" tall. Faced the Rays in his first start and went 5 solid innings. Sean West, one of 5 pitchers the Marlins drafted in the first round in 2005. Also in that group was Chris Volstad, who has emerged as the number 2 starter for Florida. So that was quite a bounty. The same draft that produced Mike Pelfrey for the Mets in the first round. Angel Pagan strokes one foul. Pagan's doing a nice job filling in since he came up on the last road trip. This is now his 8th start, and Angel is hitting .323.
Well, young Mr. West, you're going to see a real good fastball, an outstanding slurve, and changeup is definitely his 3rd pitch.
Pagan lifts one to right center field. Cody Ross moving on the ball with Hermida, and the right fielder Hermida makes the grab for the first out.
Well, here is the Marlins defense. Coughlin, Ross, and Hermida in the outfield. Helms, Bonifacio, Ugla, and Cantu. And John Baker is doing the catching. 39 errors. That is not good. 3rd most. I think the Nationals, right? The #1. Yep. 45, 46, something like that.
Well, here's Castillo, who feasted on the Nats. In fact, he has reached base his last 7 plate appearances. He wasn't quite 8 for 8 against Washington, but he was 5 for 8 in that series with 5 walks, and he takes outside for ball 1. Lou's got his batting average up to .295 on the year.
You know, in some ways, Castillo has become a great story, hasn't he, Gary? Here's a guy that much maligned last season, came in unbelievable shape, ready to go in spring training this year, and it's paid off for him.
And after he was rested frequently early in the season, with Alex Cora going down and with Reyes struggling with his knee, with his the calf, the tendonitis behind his knee, Louis has been forced to play every day. And as he's played more, he's played better.
Yeah.
Two from West, and he misses away 3-2. Castillo batting right-handed, which is his more powerful side. And he walked him. And Louis now been on base 8 consecutive plate appearances.
Not only has he been playing more, Gary, but he's playing in a familiar spot, batting second more often now, and I think that's led to some of that success.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Carlos Beltran returning to the lineup. Beltran leading the National League in batting at .367. Missed the last 2 games after taking a cortisone shot just below his knee. Feeling better, but not quite 100%. And he takes a strike, 0-1. Mets have torn up left-handed pitching this year, and Beltran has had a big hand in that. He's hitting .395 from the right side of the plate. And the fastball in for a strike, and West ahead 0-2.
You know what you'd like Castillo to do? Maybe it's too late now. When you're seeing a guy for the first time, sometimes you want to get off that bag even more, be leaning towards first base to have a throw, to see what kind of move West has.
Well, the other piece of that, as far as the Mets running game goes in this series, is that John Baker, who's a very good offensive catcher, has thrown out only 5 of 32 base stealers this year. That's 16%. So the Mets are probably going to run a lot in this series. Beltran takes the slider low and in, 2-2. Louis has 6 steals on the year. He's been caught twice.
It'll be negated a bit early just because the tall left-hander. Mets don't know his move very well.
But you figure any young left-hander who stands 6'8", it's going to take a while to get the ball home.
A lot of moving parts.
Beltran pops one up in foul ground. Wes Helms taking a look. Has room, and that's the second out. It's the one place in this ballpark where there is significant foul territory in front of the dugouts on either side.
What's the distance behind the plate, Gary? 20 feet?
45 feet. Shortest distance in the majors from home plate to the backstop. So now the red-hot Gary Sheffield will dig in. Sheffield, over the last 6 games, has driven in 11 runs. He has driven in at least 1 run in 6 straight games. Only other 40-year-old in the last 10 years to do that was Edgar Martinez. Ball 1 to Sheffield.
We don't get to call this very often, do we, Gary? The shift the other way with Sheffield, who's mostly a pull hitter, especially on the ground.
It's the shift.
That's right. It's very good.
Lifted down the left field side. Over for a look, Bonifacio, but that's in the crowd.
Well, if I'm Wes Helms, got to be alert, because with that powerful stance of Sheffield, that ball gets on you in a hurry.
I think I'd give ground if our razor shines too. Popped up. This one should stay in play. Helms and Baker, and Helms taking charge, and that retires the side. So Sean West gets Beltran and Sheffield to foul out to the third baseman to get himself through his first inning in New York. We go to the second. Pelfrey back to the mound with no score. David Hernandez winning for the Orioles in his debut, helped up by 2 Luke Scott home runs as they beat Detroit 5-1. Jason Varitek hit a couple of homers. Both catchers, both managers ejected by rookie umpire Todd Tichenor in the Red Sox win over Minnesota. This afternoon, Ted Lilly and the Cubs win 2-1 over the Dodgers. And Clint Hurdle, second manager fired in the big leagues this year after 7 years managing the Rockies.
Yeah, really had quite a tenure. Jim Tracy is going, the veteran manager, is going to fill in.
Rockies at 18-28, 14.5 games out before the end of May. Bloop to right field by Cantu. In comes Pagan, and he makes the sliding catch. Pagan playing awfully shallow against Jorge Cantu, was in good position to make that play, and Cantu gave him a look after that play was over as if to say, how are you playing there against me?
Can I tell you how uplifting this is for you as a pitcher? Is that the first dunker that you have off you, that your outfielder is playing shallow enough to make that catch, save your pitch count, get you an out. All good things by Angel.
Pagan has looked terrific in the outfield since coming up last week. Here's John Baker, who has hit 5 of those 6 home runs in the month of May, 276 on the year. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Career high for Baker. He had 5 last season when he joined the Marlins late.
First full year, and he's hitting 5th in the lineup tonight. And he becomes, as you were talking about earlier, in a predominantly right-hand hitting lineup, an essential element for the Marlins.
And, you know, earlier in the season, they were hitting him second because he's an on-base kind of guy, like you mentioned, Gary. Now need him to drive in runs.
Jeremy Hermida, the only other strictly left-hand hitter who plays every day. They've got Coughlin, the rookie, as well, but they still don't know what they have with him. Mike Pelfrey has done a lot better job against lefties this year than he has in the past. Ahead 1-2 on Baker. Pulled, foul.
You know, Coughlin's a pretty interesting story because he was really penciled in to be their third baseman. Over the winter, they made that trade and got Bonifacio. Bonifacio won the job. That's got to be a little depressing in the winter when you're working out, you're ready to go, get a chance in spring training, and they trade for someone who plays your position.
Even though it's not really
his position.
Late on the fastball, and Baker is down. Second strikeout for Pelfrey, who all of a sudden is starting to strike out some more hitters.
Well, what did we say early in the season? Mike was getting very few swing and misses, but what happens and why they're swinging through that fastball, he's using enough sliders, enough changeups that he's changing the speed and getting them off that fastball.
And he even brought the curveball out of mothballs in Boston his last start. Here's Cody Ross with 2 out and nobody on. Ross, who got off to a miserable start this year, has been red hot the last couple of weeks. Last 13 games, Ross is hitting .413. He was down on the interstate or close to it the last time the Mets saw the Marlins a month ago. Ross playing center field these days. Cameron Maybin, the prospect who the Marlins got from the Tigers and the big Miguel Cabrera, Dontrell Willis deal, down in the minors now after just not hitting early in the season. Grounded out to short for Martinez. So Pelfrey has faced 6 and retired 6 over the first 2 innings, helped out by Pagan's sliding catch to the bottom of the second, right to lead off with no score. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Ice Road Truckers. History's biggest hit is back. Don't miss a sneak peek of the new season after the bottom of the 6th inning. That's big. Ice Road Truckers.
Have you watched that show?
It's a dangerous job.
Yes, it is.
Here's David Wright leading off the home second. David coming off the first 4 strikeout game in his major league career on Wednesday night. He drives this one to left field. Coughlin moving over. And that's the first down.
You can always tell when infielders are in the outfield. You know why? They have those little short, choppy steps to the ball.
David hitting that ball down toward the end of the bat. 1 out. Here's Fernando Tatis getting the start at first base tonight. Daniel Murphy, who drove in 5 runs, including his controversial 2-run homer on Wednesday night, not in the starting lineup against the left-hander tonight. And Jerry had a very long and interesting take on Murphy and when and if he'll get action against left-handers.
Well, the thing about Murph is that I think he's going to play the majority, of course, at first base. But he's got to get Tatis some at-bats. And the reason is that for Tatis, at some point you're going to have to rest Sheffield. You see Daniel Murphy's numbers. And when he rests Sheffield, Tatis is the logical pick to play the outfield.
And Jerry said when Murphy gets a few more games together, I mean, he had a great game on Wednesday, but he had been struggling at that point as Tatis strikes out on 3 pitches. First strikeout for Sean West. He said if Murphy had a few more games under his belt, then it'd be a little different. You want to put him in a position to succeed after he's had a big night like that.
Yeah, and he thinks he'll succeed better if he gets him a few more at bats against right-handed pitching. String those together, then you can go against the lefty.
Although facing Johnson and Volstad the next 2 days, that might not be so easy.
Thanks, Skip.
So here's Omir Santos. Santos didn't play on Wednesday because of a bruised shin that he suffered Tuesday night. And now all of a sudden the Mets catching situation becomes very interesting. Because Brian Schneider is here. He's in uniform tonight. He will be activated from the disabled list tomorrow. There's Brian, who never played an actual minor league rehab game. He spent about 10 days in extended spring training catching and hitting. And Brian will be activated tomorrow, and there's at least a chance that the Mets will keep 3 catchers.
And, you know, it's always the organizational decision. Everyone gets together and decides these important decisions. But I think the most important thing, as Jerry Manuel says, as the error
throws it away. Santos digging for second. He'll make it easily as Uggla finally tracks it down. So Wes Helms forced into service at third base with Handler Ramirez out of the lineup and Bonifacio playing short. A ball on a hop that Cantu couldn't handle.
Well, this will be the 40th error by the Florida Marlins, as their defense really hasn't gotten any better. Helms, not a good throw here. Cantu can't come up with a pick. Just hits off the heel of the glove.
So it's a 2-base error on Helms, and Santos at second for Ramon Martinez.
I was just saying about Santos real quickly that Jerry Manuel said, you know, it would be hard for me to tell that young man to go down. He's been such a big part of this forward movement by the Mets, especially in May.
Martinez making his 9th start, hits one to right field, but right at Hermida, and that'll end the inning. So an error, but the Mets unable to take advantage as Santos is stranded at second. We go to the 3rd inning with no score.
And all these people, over 800 of them in the Big Apple seats here today, here for a great cause, guys. It's Project ALS. ALS, the 7th year this has been going on here with the Mets, and they have raised over $200,000 tonight alone, $1.25 million for this great project. I have to bring in a friend now. I can say a friend.
I like that.
It's Val Estes, who is the founder of Project ALS, and of course yourself and the foundation of the Mets have worked closely together to fund research for this terrible disease. We were talking a little bit off camera.
Yeah.
Give the viewers an idea what exactly the money is going to. What are you funding?
Well, in a nutshell, what the Mets Foundation and, the Mets organization and the Wilpon family have helped us to do is get scientists to derive skin cells from anybody, really, and turn them into brain cells. It's pretty space age. But this gives us a new opportunity to study diseases like ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's, and also to screen drugs that may slow the diseases and one day stop them, we hope.
So you can't really use that to put in the brain per se, but it's a study tool, essentially. You're building brain cells you can study.
Stem cells are this great study tool, just as you say. We're not looking to transplant it tomorrow, though down the line we might do stem cell transplants. That'll be really cool.
So obviously the $1.25 million from this organization really helps.
The Mets definitely lead the league in research for Lou Gehrig's disease.
What about today? Like I said, there's over 800 people today here for this cause. What was the best thing about today and the party beforehand? Just give me a feel for the vibe of everybody.
It's a family affair. The Mets and the Wilpons, they just throw open the doors. We have great food. We have great stuff to drink and dancing. And then we come out to see the best team in baseball, kick butt.
Now, is there, how can people help? Is there a website?
Oh, yeah. Please come to www.projectals.org. And we'd like to see you next year at City.
That is absolutely tremendous. Yeah. Thanks as always for your great work that you've done.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you again.
Val Estes, of course, Project ALS, a 7th year. Guys, how about that? I mean, you wonder sometimes where the money goes. Well, they're building brain cells with the money to help test and try and fight this disease. Pretty great stuff. Back to you.
Great indeed. It has been quite a week for the Mets charitable operations. The teammates in the community event last night at Greenwich raised over $400,000 for the Mets Foundation charities and some of the players' charities. It's just some great work.
Well, there's such a noblesse oblige that these teams in these communities have to put forth, because they have these lovely people that pay a lot of money to come to the games, and you'd love to see the Mets and the Wilpons and the players give back to that community. Just a good thing.
And they do that. Such a great job with that. Jeremy Hermida with the first base hit for the Marlins, and now Helms hits one toward the middle. Martinez smothers it. Backhand flip, though not in time. Couldn't quite get enough on that backhand throw, and it kind of rolled over to Castillo. Helms gets an infield hit.
Well, playing Helms a little bit to pull, and great job by Ramon to get to that ball. We saw a couple of balls in Los Angeles get under that glove, but right here just can't get enough on it, despite the try by Castillo.
Quite an effort all the way around by Ramon, because if he doesn't smother that ball, Hermida's probably at third base. So now the pitcher, Sean West, up there to bunt. Left-hand pitcher, but a right-hand batter. And he takes a fastball for a strike. West in his first start went 0 for 1 with a sacrifice.
Sean from Shreveport, Louisiana.
He is naturally ambidextrous. His dad was an aspiring left-handed pitcher, and when Sean was 6, he shoved the baseball into Sean's left hand and said, "You only throw with this hand."
Smart man.
Bunted foul at the plate. He came up and hit him, and was it fair or foul? They say foul. Angel Hernandez immediately pointing into the batter's box and saying that it hit West while he was still in foul territory.
Well, West is 6'8", 250. At some point, it's going to hit him anyway, as he tried to bunt, and it just hit the plate, came back up, and the big guy didn't get out of the box before it hit him.
Good call by Angel.
Good try by Omer, trying to sell it.
Now it's 0-2 to West, and apparently the bunt is still on. And he bunts it foul, strike 3. So there's the third strikeout for Mike Pelfrey, as the rookie pitcher West unable to get the bunt down.
What you have to do is you leave the bat out there and you let the bat hit the ball. You don't stab at it like he did. So he moves that bat really quickly at the end. That's not how you want to bunt. You want to leave it in one position and let the bat catch the baseball.
One of the problems these days for pitchers coming up to play in the National League is they get very few reps batting in the minor leagues.
And the first time you get out there, you're facing Pelfrey, who's throwing 95 miles an hour. That's good position. He just needs the bat out in front, but you see how he dropped the head really quick, the head of the bat very late. That's why he missed the baseball.
So West unable to help himself. Now 1 out, and Emilio Bonifacio flying to center his first time. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Mike Pelfrey 1-5 lifetime against the Marlins. Last year 0-4. Including the Friday night game, the final weekend. Although he didn't pitch that badly, he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings, and Mets ended up losing that game 6-1 the day before Santana's heroic performance on the final Saturday. But this has been the nemesis team for Pelfrey, facing the Marlins for the first time this year. But you'd have to say the Marlins haven't really seen this Mike Pelfrey.
They haven't. And if you look at Mike the last couple of starts, coming into this game he had 17 strikeouts, 18 walks. Well, you see the last 2 games the strikeouts are starting to pile up a little bit.
Emilio Bonifacio serves 1 foul. And he's throwing strikes.
Yeah.
He's got so much more command of his slider, his changeup, and the occasional curveball. In the past, when he was throwing those pitches, they were automatic spit-on balls.
He also has a lot better demeanor on the mound. Less walking around, less the cap on the back of the head, rubbing the forehead, making it a lot easier on himself.
Bonifacio lines one to center. Beltran, shoestring attempt. He got it. Double play. And the throw to first, not necessary. There were already 2 out. On the catch, the throw to second made 3 out. So it's an 8-4 double play. As the runners were confused, the second base umpire Tim Welke said that Beltran successfully made the shoestring catch. Very close. He might have trapped that ball. But the Mets turn the double play to end the inning and keep the game scoreless. Mike Pelfrey leads off the home 3rd inning and takes a strike. Pelfrey benefiting from a double play on the sinking liner to center that Beltran was ruled to have caught, that turned into a double play. Thing is, the base runners were so confused that he not caught it would have been a double play anyway.
Yeah, they were looking for the umpires. I don't know if the umpire gave a quick sign, but interesting. Pelfrey was a ground ball machine. He usually gets double plays, gets one on the line drive.
Ugla plays that one on the backhand and throws out Pelfrey for the first down. Well, let's take a couple of looks at it to see whether we can figure out whether he actually caught it.
Well, in that fast motion, to me, it looks like it hits the grass right before it comes up into Carlos's glove. Nice Coors Light freeze cam. See, gets a little bit of grass and a little bit of glove almost, Gary.
See,
half and half.
See, the thing is, the glove is so long that if the glove is on the grass, the ball can actually hit the glove and then bounce up further into the glove.
What happens if the ball hits grass and glove at the same time?
Then it's not a catch, right?
Yep.
As long as it hits the grass, it's not a catch. Angel Pagan grounds one slowly down to third, and Wes Helms with the short throw to make for the second out. take another look.
Well, tough ball right here for Hermida. He's just got to freeze, though. And he never saw the umpire, so he never really saw the call. He was just going with his eyes. You see the second base umpire going out. Does he give? You see the guy at first base umpire.
Yeah, the first base umpire, Bill Welke, gave the call long before the second base umpire, Tim Welke, confirmed it, but it's probably not who Hermida was looking at. Here's Castillo with 2 out.
Because in a big stadium like this with lots of noise, you're not going to hear that out call by the first baseman. But a second base umpire, if he gives a really definitive call with a loud yell, you'll hear that.
With runners on base, that second base umpire always plays on the infield grass, whereas with nobody on base, he's on the outfield grass. So on that kind of a play, the first base umpire has a much better view looking from the side.
You're right. Get the better angle. You know, listen, think about it. Our replay, we're looking at the angle right behind home plate. It was hard for us to call.
Line to center by Castillo, and he's got himself a 2-out hit. The Mets' first hit of the game against the rookie left-hander. And for Luis Castillo, that is 9 consecutive plate appearances that he's reached base. His last 2 on Tuesday, all 5 on Wednesday, and his first 2 tonight.
Well, he gets jammed here by the young Sean West. And just strong enough right-handed to get the ball in the outfield. Left-handed is not his stronger side. Wow, that's nice. Castillo coming alive.
So now Beltran with 2 out and a runner at first. Fouled out to third base his first time and takes up and away for ball 1.
Well, the umpires definitely don't have the benefit of seeing all these replays, but to me, it looks like it caught a little grass.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, it would have been a double play anyway because the runners were so confused.
Yeah.
They had both gone halfway. If that ball hits, then the throw to second base doubles up, gets an out on the runner coming from first. Then they could have had Hermida in a rundown and gotten him out and gotten the double play that way. It's almost a situation, although you can't call it this way because it's not in the rule book, that would call for the infield fly rule.
Yeah. Right,
on a ball where it looks like an infielder is going to catch it. That way the runners can't get confused and you can't get a double play. 2-2 to Beltran. So the Mets getting the benefit of that play either way. Two to Beltran. Struck him out. Good fastball by West. Very impressive early on. His second strikeout. We head for the 4th now at Citi Field. Mets and Marlins still scoreless. Carlos Beltran engaged in a prolonged conversation with home plate umpire Angel Hernandez. Here's why.
Well, see this pitch. He thinks that's down, Carlos Beltran. I think he has a good argument for it. But Hernandez has called that pitch all day long. See Razor Shines getting in between Angel Hernandez and Carlos Beltran as they argue over that called third strike.
And then Jerry Manuel came out as well to get between Beltran and Hernandez as things started to heat up even more. And then the second base umpire Tim Welke came over and walked Beltran out towards center field. Chris Coughlin at the plate, 1-1. So a nice job by all concerned to keep things from boiling over. And what a difference. We were talking earlier about that Boston-Minnesota game yesterday when the home plate umpire Todd Tichenor in the course of one inning threw out both catchers and both managers. This is how you handle it. Just kind of cool things down.
That's right. And Angel's telling him to be quiet or I'm going to throw him out.
Coughlin lifts one to center. Beltran back. It's going to be over his head and rolled to the wall. Coughlin to second. Takes a turn. He's going to try for three. The relay throw by Martinez. Not in time. A triple for Chris Coughlin. His first big league three-base hit.
Well, nice job by Coughlin handling that fastball away, and he drove that ball over the head of Carlos Beltran. He put a little air under it, a little higher. He can run that down, but that was a line drive shot by the left fielder.
And the rookie running hard right out of the box. Winds up with a three-base hit. The third hit off Pelfrey, so the Marlins have a runner at third and nobody out. The infield will play back with the exception of Tatis at first base as Uggla grounds one foul down past Bo Porter, the third base coach. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Guys, had a conversation with Dan Uggla today and just asked him about his year at the plate. You know, power is there, RBIs are there, average is obviously not. And he said, look, I'm not going to lie. What I'm doing now, it's hard to keep the confidence where it needs to be. And he said, you know, everyone likes to hit for a high average. That's what everybody looks at. He said, but the funny thing is, I'm actually feeling good at the plate, and I felt good at the plate the whole year. So it's a combination of a little bit of luck and just working out doing some little bit things a little differently at the plate. It's certainly not for lack of feeling. And as he said, the home runs and the RBIs were coming. I thought the interesting part of the discussion, you know, he mentioned the confidence thing, looking at the average, and I wondered if the confidence would be worse for him if the average was much better, but the home runs and RBIs were down. He thought about it for a minute and he said, you know, good question. I'd have to say home runs, though, because I think for me, I still feel the average will come around. And he's been getting hot. But he said if I were to look up now and had, you know, a home run, one home run and a couple of RBIs at this point, then I'd really start to worry.
Thing is, he's hit 5 of those 9 home runs in the last 9 days.
Yeah.
The infield has come in after the first strike to Uggla. 1-2 the count now. And it's blooped into shallow left. In comes Sheffield, and he makes the rolling catch. Tagging at third is Coughlin. He comes in to score. I think the Mets might appeal at third base and say that he left early. Well, I guess not. Thought perhaps that Coughlin might have taken too early a start, but Sheffield with the nice catch, sacrifice fly for Uggla, brings in the game's first run.
Well, I think what Coughlin thought for a while is that Sheffield was going to make that catch standing up, so he had to really get a good break. Nice job by Sheffield to just get the out.
So 1 out and nobody on with a run home, and Jorge Cantu takes inside. Let's take a look.
Let's see if Mr. Coughlin leaves early. Not caught, not caught. And in the glove, yeah, he's fine.
So Uggla drives in his 33rd run of the year, and the Mets get their second, or their third actually, nice defensive play in the outfield in this game. All 3 outfielders have made nice catches. Cantu dribbles one foul, 2-1. Cantu was raging hot the last time the Mets saw him. In fact, against the Mets this year, Cantu 8 for 19 coming into this series with 3 homers and 6 RBIs. But Cantu has not had an extra base hit since May the 6th. That's more than 3 weeks. Hits this one to right center field, and I'll drop for a hit. And guess what? He's got an extra base hit. Breaking that long drought, Cantu pulls into second base with an opposite field double.
Well, a game of one-upsmanship for Cantu. First inning, first at bat, sorry. Angel Pagan playing very shallow, makes the catch on Cantu. This one he drives it between them, and because he's playing so shallow, Ball gets by Pagan.
And so Cantu has his 9th double of the year, and he continues to punish the Mets.
Here's our IOTV pitch differential. We want that ball down and inside is the key for Mike. And that ball's as middle. Nice hitting by Cantu going the other way.
So a couple of extra base hits in the inning for the Marlins. 4 hits now off Pelfrey, and John Baker steps in. Baker struck out his first time and takes that fastball in tight. We talked about the Mets potentially carrying 3 catchers when Schneider's activated tomorrow. The Marlins right now are carrying 3 catchers. They've got both Ronnie Polino, who's been there all year, and Brett Hayes, who was very impressive during spring training for the Marlins this year. So 3 of their 5 position players, or 2 of the 5 position players on the bench, are catchers. Castillo throws out Baker for the second out as Cantu moves over to third. That can only work for a team generally if one of those catchers can play other positions.
And Hayes can. He can play some outfield positions. He also pinch ran the other day, so he can do some other things.
And that's one of the questions that Jerry Manuel and the Mets management have to try and figure out. Jerry was talking today about Castro potentially playing some first base. But he said he's never seen Santos play another position, and certainly you don't think Schneider can. Here's Cody Ross with 2 out and a runner at third. Gets tied up. And he went around. First base umpire Bill Wilkie with a call, 0-1.
Well, he got this pitch in. Unlike the one on Cantu. Nice pitch by Mike Pelfrey.
Slider low and away, 1-1.
Gary Brian Schneider's played first base in the outfield. 2 games each at both positions.
And Castro?
I didn't look up Castro.
He's never played it, guys.
No?
Okay. Nope.
Very good, Kevin.
He was asked about it. He said first base. Asked like he had 3 heads. That would be a no.
And he's hit by a pitch, so Cody Ross goes to first base. Just the second batter Pelfrey's hit this year. And now the Marlins have runners at first and third with 2 out for Jeremy Hermida. Well, if you've got 3 guys, 3 catchers, and none of them can play another position, as you look at this ball just grazing the uniform of Ross, then you've got a logjam on your bench.
Yeah, you have.
Now, one of the schools of thought within the Mets organization is the possibility of going from 12 to 11 pitchers to make room for the extra catcher, and that way you have 6 bench players instead of 5, and that makes it a little bit easier. Hermida takes low and inside.
And the bullpen just turned the volume down on the TV out there.
Well, the school of thought there is that the Mets are getting innings from their starters on a regular basis, and the bullpen right now is not particularly overtaxed. Yeah. But you know, that can change on a dime in a few days, and then you can always make a move the other way. Hermida takes low 2-0. It's like when we had Omar in the booth the other day, and he was saying, you know, people talk about the opening day roster, and I laugh because, you know, it's going to change 100 times over the course of the season, and it's so true. We've already seen that the first 2 months. So, you know, any configuration that involves 3 catchers and 11 pitchers or 1 less position player, that's just a phone call away from changing. 2-1 to Hermida. The problem that you run into with the Mets is that 2 of those 3 catchers have large contracts, Castro and Schneider, and the other one, Santos, right now is playing better.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from Schneider when he comes back. On the inside corner, good pitch to Hermida, 2-2. Well, there's a look at what Castro and Santos have done since Schneider was out. Castro has thrown better. Santos probably better all around defensively. And the offensive numbers similar. 2-2. Hit toward the middle and picked off by Martinez to end the inning. So Ramon Martinez snags the liner by Hermida and holds the Marlins to a 1-0 lead. Send your bets to the 2009 All-Star Game in St. Louis. Vote up to 25 times by logging on to Mets.com or LosMets.com and cast your ballot for your 2009 All-Stars now. Vote early, vote often, and vote Mets at Mets.com. Gary Sheffield leads off the home fourth inning. Mets down 1-0 against the rookie left-hander Sean West, who has been very impressive early in this game. Sheffield fouled out his first time and takes the fastball high.
Just what a concept. A young pitcher just pounding the strike zone. Good things can happen.
West walked 4 in his first start in 5 innings against Tampa Bay. And he falls behind Sheffield 2-0, one of the rare times he's been behind tonight. He walked Castillo in the first inning on a 3-2 pitch, but he's not been to 3 balls and a batter since. And Sheffield gets under one to left field. Coughlin coming in under it. 1 out. Here's your high-speed pitch presented by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. Your world delivered.
But you see West here getting a new ball. It's very interesting watching the different ways that every pitcher trying to, before he throws the ball to the plate. And with West, it's very interesting is that he holds the glove out in front of him with his hand by his side. See how he holds that there, gets the aim, and then he's got to go into his glove and then finally get the grip. That lends itself sometimes to tipping off your pitches. You have to watch out because if you put the ball in the glove for a fastball and you try to get a changeup grip, see if it's in there as a fastball grip, he starts his motion. If you don't get the good feel on your changeup, you can end up leaving it up in the strike zone.
At this point, West is mostly a fastball slider pitcher. As he throws more changeups, will he have to change that?
He will have to change that because that'll be real hard for him to get in there.
1-2 to right.
Well, what you're trying to do in a changeup is you're trying to make sure that you throw it the same way every time to have consistency. If you're going in that late, it's impossible to have a consistent grip every single time.
Right hits it hard, but a right at Helms. 2 outs. So David's hit 2 line drives and been retired twice. 2 out at the bottom of the 4th.
See how quickly he goes to the glove? If you grip that wrong, you can tell right there that he's got the fastball that he runs away. I apologize. That wasn't a fastball. It was a slider with those fingers together. A nice play by Helms. It's 2 balls that David's hit awfully hard. 0 for 2.
So now Tatis, who struck out his first time up. Fernando really struggling right now. 2 for his last 21. slowly hit, and Uggla coming in. And a quick inning for Sean West after being handled the lead. He gets the Mets out on just 9 pitches. We head for the 5th at Citi Field, 1-0 Florida. Helms leads off the 5th inning against Mike Pelfrey, who misses with a slider for ball 1. Helms had an infield hit his first time up. The Marlins scored in the 4th on a triple by Chris Coughlin and a sacrifice fly by Dan Uggla. That's been it. Lifted to right field, and Pagan back to get it. 1 away. So now Sean West, who has fairly stymied the Mets over the first 4 innings in his second big league start. Struck out trying to bunt in his only plate appearance.
Quite a strike zone that Mr. West gives you when he stands in there in the box. 6'8".
Well, West is the 10th different starting pitcher that the Marlins have used already this year. You talked something about it earlier, Ronnie, that this Marlins team, which figured to have a tremendous young rotation this year, lost Anibal Sanchez to injury. He just started his rehab with 3 innings last night, so he could be back shortly. And Ricky Nolasco, their opening day starter, as West goes down swinging. Nolasco's so bad that he's down in the minor leagues now. Tune in weeknights at 6 o'clock. Chris Carlin and Adam Shine talk about everything that's going on in New York sports on Loudmouths. Brought to you by Geico.
Very good, Gary.
Right here on SNY.
It's interesting how you've memorized all this stuff now in mid-May. It's unbelievable.
How many shows do we have?
That's right.
Bonifacio 0 for 2. Twice has hit the ball to center field. Both times Beltran has caught it. Well, at least once he caught it. Second time he was credited with catching it and turned it into a double play.
This guy is so fast that if he ever split the outfielders, you'd have to think he might think of going all the way around. He already has this year.
It went over Lastings Millage's head right at the start of the year for an inside the park home run. This one popped up to shallow center, and Martinez out to grab it, and a quick inning for Mike Pelfrey. Rolling along quickly in this one, a 9-pitch inning for Pelfrey halfway through. 1-0 Florida.
Another bright new name in New York was 24-year-old Hubie Brooks, who did everything the club could ask and more as he became the 68th third baseman in Mets history. And it's nice to report that Hubie appears to have ended the long-standing search for a regular at third.
Well, not exactly, but Hubie was a fine player for the Mets in 2 different stints. Of course, he was part of the trade bait that the Mets sent to Montreal when they acquired Gary Carter.
And that was a sad part of that trade because Hubie Brooks, so well liked, solid player, a little bit like Sheffield. When he would hit the ball, I mean, he hit the ball as hard as anyone on the line.
Omir Santos leading off in the 5th, and 2 quick strikes from Sean West. Santos reached on a throwing error by Wes Helms his first time. He drives one deep to left field, right down the line, headed toward the corner. It's out of here! Omir Santos ties the game with his 3rd home run of the year. My friends, he's not going anywhere. On an 0-2 pitch, Santos' 3rd home run gets the Mets even at 1.
Omir is one of those hitters. He doesn't really change his approach 0-2 or 1-2. He still has that short little stroke, tries to make contact. Good things can happen. We've seen now that that ball up is the pitch that he likes to hit. He hit the same pitch against Papelbon, and also his grand slam, that ball was up in the strike zone.
Well, you know, you go back to that controversial move that Jerry made when he brought Santos out of the bullpen to face, was it Lindstrom?
Lindstrom with the bases loaded.
Batting for Castro as Pelfrey, as Martinez lines a base hit. And the Mets have 2 straight hits to start the 5th. Ramon Martinez with his first hit of the night. And the rationale that Jerry used, as you look at the Martinez hit, was that Omir had a short stroke and had a better chance against a hard thrower. And now we've seen it a few times.
West is a hard thrower, and you're right. I think that within the course of the game, as Martinez now has had 2 good at-bats, a base hit there. Santos is just one of those players that is a winning player. He does something every game to help the ball club win.
Now Pelfrey will try and get a bunt down.
And remember, it's hard to judge in spring training, but Jerry left spring training with the feeling that Santos could play. You know why? Because he popped a couple of home runs late in that spring training and really opened the eyes of Jerry Manuel.
Guy who only had 10 big league at bats before this season, all in September last year with the Orioles. And West gets ahead on Pelfrey 0-2. But both with his bat, with his presence behind the plate, with his ability to block pitches, he has shown the Mets something just about every time he's been in there. And he's now started 20 games. Pelfrey on 0-2 deadens that ball beautifully. And West makes the toss. 1-3 on the sacrifice, moving Martinez to second.
Well, the nice thing that Mike did there is very lower body, is very still, bats out. He jabbed at it just a little bit, but I think part of that is because it was 0-2 and he was just making sure that he protected that plate, got it out there somehow, some way. But he did a better job of keeping it level, jabbed a little bit, but not as much as West did.
So Pelfrey picks up his second sacrifice of the season. And now runner in scoring position for Angel Pagan. You know, the Mets as a team now lead the National League in batting average with runners in scoring position. Coming into tonight, the Mets were at 288 as a team, but that was not always the case early in the season, and particularly earlier in the season when the Mets were playing the Marlins. Lifted foul by Pagan. The Mets have lost 4 out of 6 to Florida this year. They've lost 3 of those games by 1 run. In those 3 games, 2 of them down in Florida and 1 of them here, the Mets went 3 for 28, a 107 average with runners in scoring position. But that has turned completely around since the last time the Mets and Marlins got together. Led by Beltran and Wright particularly. Pagan takes just off the plate, 1-1.
Well, I'll tell you, Gary, I think it started in spring training. Sometimes the fruition of all that hard work doesn't come till a better part of the season has gone away. And I think it comes from the curveball drill with the machine, hitting the ball the other way.
Pagan lifts one to left center. Ross taking charge. And that's the second out. Here's your Acela fifth inning recap. Mets getting even on Omir Santos' third home run of the year here in the bottom of the fifth, after Sean West had held the Mets with only one hit over the first 4 innings. Mike Pelfrey gave up a triple to Chris Coghlan. He came in to score in the fourth on the Dan Uggla sacrifice fly, and that has been it in a fast-moving Friday night game. Now with Luis Castillo coming up, Mark Wiley is going to visit the mound, the Florida pitching coach.
Well, it's 2 outs and you have a base open, but I think what Wiley's saying is that you have Mr. Beltran up behind Luis Castillo. We really need you to go after the hitter and get him out.
Run the bases at Citi Field following the Mets afternoon game against the Marlins Sunday with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under, presented by Nestle Drumstick. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Well, Castillo, with a walk and a single tonight, has now reached base 9 consecutive times, going back to Tuesday. He's hitting .303 with runners in scoring position, and he's got Martinez out there with 2 down. See, the Mets as a team have just been tearing it up in RBI spots the last 3 weeks. And it doesn't completely, but it somewhat coincides with losing Delgado. And I think between that and playing in this ballpark, this team has come to a realization that it is not a home run hitting team. And they've accomplished things in other ways.
Yeah, they've stressed that. And I think, David coming to this game has 50 strikeouts. When you have Delgado in the middle with Wright, you have a place as a pitcher. You say to yourself, you know what, these guys are very dangerous hitters, but I know guy on third, 1 out, I got a chance to strike them out. It's so different in the lineup. Other than Wright, everyone is kind of a contact hitter, puts the ball in play. Anytime you put the ball in play, you have a shot.
2-0 to Castillo. And that's supported by the fact that the Mets as a team have struck out the fewest times of any team in the National League, even with Wright striking out more than he ever has before. Because guys like Castillo and Beltran and Sheffield, they're putting their bat on the ball. 2-1. Castillo fouls it away, 2-2. By the way, for historical reference, the Mets record for reaching base in consecutive plate appearances, 15. Wow. Johnny Olwer did that back in '98. See the Mets third from the bottom in home runs, but they've made up for that with their other hits. Castillo bounces one out to the shortstop Bonifacio. And a low throw, but can't be able to go out and grab it. And that ends the inning. But the Mets get even. Omir Santos down in the count 0-2, but down no longer. His third career home run. And as we head into 6, Mets and Fish tied at 1. Pella for special savings today. And by Firestone, a tradition of innovation. Mike Pelfrey, 5 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. A 1-1 game as Chris Coghlan leads off the 6th and takes low and inside. Coghlan tripled to left center beyond the reach of Carlos Beltran, and then scored the lone Marlin run in the 4th. Coghlan out of the University of Mississippi lifts this one to right field, right to Pagan. 1 away. Pelfrey getting more fly balls than he's accustomed to tonight. Usually lives with the ground ball out, but then again, the Marlins are a fly ball hitting team.
Fly ball hitting team, and he's also changed his repertoire. He's just not pounding sinker after sinker after sinker. He's really doing a nice job changing up.
Here's Uggla, who drove in the run with a sac fly, and he takes a slider for a strike. You see the line on Pelfrey. Another impressive showing for Mike against a team he usually has trouble with, and it's 0-2 to Uggla.
It's a catch-22 for a young pitcher. You don't have a good breaking ball, so you don't want to use it, but the only way to get a good one is to use it in the games. You have to.
And this is a guy you've got to throw breaking balls to. 0-2 to Uggla. Threw that fastball high. So you throw him 2 breaking balls for strikes, then do you bounce one?
Yeah, I think you bounce, but he just wanted to change the speed. You don't want to throw 3 in a row, so he changed the speed now. He's seen the fastball. Now he can go back to the slider if he wants.
Cantu on deck. 1-2 to Uggla. Lifted foul, throwing the fastball away.
You know, you were taught your entire career to work on the bullpen, to work on throwing strikes on the corner. And then you have to get to a point where you say to yourself, you know, the strike now for Uggla is 6 inches off the outside corner.
Struck him out. So Pelfrey gets Uggla to chase. That's 5 strikeouts for Uggla. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks, Chris. 2 more RBIs for Ibanez in that game. I mean, does he ever have a night when he doesn't do something for that team?
Not so far. Amazing. Front runner for maybe the MVP so far.
I think that's fair to say right now. Here's Jorge Cantu, and he lines one right to David Wright. Side retired. A shot by Cantu. So David, who hit one of those of his own earlier in the game, snags the hot shot from Cantu. 7 in a row retired by Pelfrey. Still a 1-1 game. Aflac trivia question for tonight. The two players to win Rookie of the Year in one league and MVP in another. These questions have been outstanding.
Really good.
Somebody did a lot of homework this winter. Sean West in his second big league start has held the Mets to 3 hits. Now he faces the top of the heart of the batting order third time around as Carlos Beltran takes a strike. Beltran struck out and got into quite a conversation with Angel Hernandez after he did his last time. Boy, this West is impressive. He's throwing strikes and he's working fast.
Well, this is the reason he's up here, because Nolasco going down, Sanchez trying to work his way back.
Sean West, just 22 years old. Last year he pitched the entire season in Single A in the Florida State League after missing all of 07 because of shoulder surgery. Line right to third. Another hot shot to Helms. That has been the hot corner tonight. One away. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, we take a look at Gary Sheffield's bat. In the clubhouse before the game, he's seen taping and taping and taping the knob of his bat to make it pretty big and pretty thick. And there's actually a reason why. Back in 2001, he tore a ligament in his left index finger. He missed some time. Didn't want to have surgery, though. He held that off to the end of the year. So he came back, and it was bothering him, but he played through it. Well, when the Cubs came to L.A. to take on the Dodgers, he talked to Sammy Sosa, who used a thick knob at the bottom of his bat, and he said he liked the weight distribution. So Sheffield said, oh, you know what, let me have a bat, I want to try it. So Sosa gave him a bat, he tried it, and immediately, just because of the way the tape was, his left index finger rested very comfortably on it, so he liked the way it felt. He had a home run that game with that big knob bat, and he might do it in this game. Is it going to stay fair? It won't. That would have been the best sideline report ever. But we'll have to settle for the rest of the story. So anyway, he hit a home run that game and continued with it the rest of the year. Had the surgery, came back the next year, and tried going back to regular bat. Couldn't do it. He got so used to it, so he still does it today.
That was quite the surprise for the folks in that outdoor section of the Acela Club. A drink, a snack, and a baseball coming at hurtling speed.
Someone probably just lost some duck horn right now.
Some people take their martinis with olives and sometimes with horsehide. Here's the 2-1 to Sheffield. There's a good pitch on the outside, 2-2. Sheffield has driven in a run in each of the last 6 games. 2-2 from West. Grounded out to the shortstop Bonifacio. And West just keeps on rolling along. 2 up and 2 set aside, and now David Wright will take a turn. Jose Reyes remaining with the team for the moment, but he'll be heading down to Florida in a few days to start doing some rehab work. Ryan Church is already in Florida. Noticed a very interesting trend in the Mets clubhouse. When players are on the disabled list and go down to Port St. Lucie, they lose their locker.
Yeah.
Brian Schneider came back today. He took Ryan Church's locker. Church doesn't have a locker anymore.
Wow.
Oliver Perez doesn't have a locker.
Out of sight, out of mind.
I guess. Which is interesting because we counted there are 51 lockers in that clubhouse. There's enough for everybody on the disabled list to have one.
Well, it's very interesting. In the day when they didn't have the clubhouses that are so beautiful today, only the stars would have 2 lockers. But everyone just about has a couple lockers, or at least they share a locker where they both, each player on the other side can put their stuff, their extra stuff.
So when Jose goes to Florida in a few days, does his locker disappear?
I don't think so.
1-2 to right, lifted to center field. Cody Ross drifting back, has room. And the side retired. Sean West is now retired 6 in a row. And on we go to the 7th. West and Pelfrey locked up in a good one, tied at 1. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Day games tomorrow and Sunday. Tim Redding against Josh Johnson tomorrow. John Maine and Chris Volstead on Sunday. And then the Mets go to Pittsburgh and Washington. Johan Santana's next start Tuesday night in Pittsburgh. Remember, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
I'm going to let you and Keith take that road trip, Gary. You're going to Pittsburgh and Washington.
You're going to miss the high perches.
That's right.
The two highest broadcast booths in the major leagues in Pittsburgh and D.C. Here's John Baker, and he takes a curveball for a strike from Mike Pelfrey. Is that the first one he's thrown today?
Yes, I think so. And this is just a pleasure to watch. A little get-me-over curveball. Hitter can't swing at that because you got to look for that sinker off Pelfrey.
Baker has struck out and grounded out, and he takes the changeup low and away, 1-1. Well, Sean West has been tremendous, and so has Mike Pelfrey. Two young starters hooking up. Two guys, both of whom were taken in the first round of the 2005 draft. Pelfrey got to the big leagues a lot faster, in part because West had to miss a season because of shoulder surgery. But here they are 4 years later, hooking up for the first time, and it could be the first of many times over the next number of years. 1-2 to Baker. Curveball in there for a call, strike 3.
Did you see Omir Santos coming from behind the plate? He was excited to catch this backdoor curveball by Mike Pelfrey. Think about it. Get me over curve, change up down, fastball that Baker couldn't get to, backdoor curveball. No one hits that way.
What an evolution as a pitcher, though, for Pelfrey to have this fourth weapon to unveil third time around the batting order.
Third time around batting order, third time around the league.
There's Cody Ross, grounded out, been hit by a pitch, and he takes a knee-high strike. But that's old-fashioned pitching.
Yeah.
You know, keeping something in reserve for the later innings. Now guys are just taught to throw everything on the table early.
Go as hard as you can, as long as you can.
I mean, this is a formula not only for winning games, but for pitching deep into games.
Exactly. You can tell the wheels are turning. He's got not only a thought about what he's going to throw here, but how this pitch is going to set up the pitch he throws after this.
Slider misses, 2-1 to Ross. He's got 9 fly ball outs and only 3 ground ball outs tonight.
And this is where you want to throw that four-seamer on the outside part, although he's coming in.
Toward the middle, Castillo on the backhand, the jumping toss, and he got him. Beautifully done by the former Gold Glover Luis Castillo. 2 out.
Well, nice job of getting to the ball. You knew he was going to get there. Jammed a little bit was Ross. But the great play here is that he does the jump in the air. Luckily, it didn't get Mike on the hand as he reached for that. But he jumps in the air. This gives him a chance to get a little more on that throw. Perfectly placed.
9 in a row retired by Pelfrey. Now Hermida takes ball 1. Hermida has one of the 4 Florida hits. A single to left in the third. Too high, 2-0.
You know, it's one of those plays, the real good second baseman, as the ball is bouncing and they're making the play, they already know what they're going to do with their feet.
Hermida hits one to center field, hit well. Beltran back, has room, and he grabs it off to the side to end the inning. 10 straight hitters retired by Mike Pelfrey. Helped out by Castillo's defense, taking this game to the 7th inning stretch with the Mets and Marlins still tied at 1. card.
From the Pepsi porch, guys, is pretty good up here. Tight game pitching-wise, and I would expect tomorrow to be of the same because the Josh Johnson will be on the mound for the Marlins. And just in case you didn't know, he's 5-0 in 7 starts against the Mets with an ERA under 2. Of course, the complete game down in Miami earlier this year. In 7 of his 10 starts, he's allowed 2 earned runs or less. And I was talking to a couple of the Marlins today about him, and they asked, "Have the Mets scored any runs for Johan Santana yet?" I said, "Well, a little bit here or there." They're like, "Oh, well, we're not really scoring them for Josh Johnson." So I don't know if that'll change tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye out for not only Johnson but the Marlins offense tomorrow. But first, pretty exciting stuff left in this one, guys. Back
all right, Kevin, and remember to log on to SNY.TV/Pepsi Clutch and vote for the New York Mets Pepsi Clutch Performer of the Month. 3 candidates for May are Carlos Beltran, David Wright, and Johan Santana. After voting, you'll have the chance to enter to win 2 tickets to sit in the Pepsi porch at an upcoming game this season. Fernando Tatis lifts one to right field, chasing Hermida back, and short of the warning track. He's got it for the first out. Well, Pelfrey's retired 10 in a row. Now West has retired 7 in a row as these 2 young pitchers work deeper into this game.
Put it on a display. All of a sudden, Pelfrey's got Santana's day, doesn't he? Facing these good pitchers. 83 pitches in the 7th inning. You know, we've seen games this year where pitchers have thrown half that in the 1st inning.
Now Omir Santos, whose home run in the 5th inning tied the game, and he swings and misses at a changeup, 0-1. Santos reached on an error in the 2nd, and then in the 5th, leading off behind in the count 0-2. He drilled one down the left field line for his 3rd home run, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
0-2. Fastball supposed to be up and in. Quick bat from Omir Santos.
Well, West has him 0-2 again, and this time Omir goes the other way toward the right field line. Hermida going over, and he makes the running grab. Well, Santos nearly had himself another 0-2 hit, but Hermida equal to it. Hermida back in right field now. He started the year playing left field, but much more comfortable over here.
Yeah, he always looked a little uncomfortable in left field. It's a nice, fine running play. Boy, Santos, this is why he gets his hits, because he's coast to coast. He can pull a home run down the left field line and then shoot it to right.
Mets have had only 3 hits tonight. Ramon Martinez has one of them. He singled in the 5th after the Santos home run. He was the last Met to reach base. So Ramon has started to pick up a hit here and there. Now hit in 4 straight games. 2-0 to Martinez. JJ puts up in the bullpen, but it's hard to imagine a scenario where Jerry would bat for Pelfrey. He's been that good. Here's a strike, 2-1. Pelfrey's thrown 95 pitches through 7 innings, so you'd have to think he's going to pitch the 8th.
What if Martinez hits a double? Does he take a shot?
Tough call, but he doesn't have a double. He has a single. So Ramon Martinez has his 2nd hit of the night. Pelfrey heading toward the plate, looking over his shoulder just to make sure.
Never look over your shoulder if you're starting pitcher. Get to that plate as quickly as possible in case Jerry changes his mind.
Well, he took a look, but Jerry didn't call him back, and so Pelfrey will come up to bat here in the bottom of the 7th with the go-ahead run at first base. Mike does have 1 hit this year, but not a menacing figure at the plate despite his 6'7" frame. So Jerry's going to stick with his starter. This is a rare event in baseball these days, letting your starting pitcher bat in the bottom of the 7th in a close game. There goes Martinez. Pelfrey gets under one to left field, and Coughlin is there. Pelfrey making a bid for that first career home run, but he comes up a few feet short. On to the 8th, still tied at 1. New home of Amazing as the series with the Marlins continues tomorrow afternoon at 1:10. Great place, great seats, and a great time. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your printed home tickets now. Here's the answer to the Outback Trivia question. Rookie of the Year in one league, MVP in the other. The two guys to do it: Frank Robinson and Dick Allen.
Wow, that's a good question.
Dick was Rookie of the Year with the Phillies, won MVP with the White Sox. And Frank Robinson, Rookie of the Year with the Reds, won MVP with the Orioles.
Dick Allen was a coach. I think I told this story. I'll tell it again. Dick Allen was a coach with the Texas Rangers, my first spring training. So I sat on the bench. He sat next to me. And
Wes Helms drives one to right center field, but Pagan getting over. One away.
And he was just a great guy. Spent a lot of time talking about his time in the big leagues, this or that. And he said, son, what do you expect in spring training this year? I said, well, trying to compete for that 5th spot in the rotation. He's like, what? I go, you know, the 5th spot in the rotation. I'd like to hopefully get a shot at that. He goes, John Madlack's making $700,000. You got no shot. So welcome to the business of baseball by Dick Allen.
Well, Sean West, the starter for the Marlins in his second major league start, is done for the night. Ross Glode bats for him. The East Ender takes ball 1. West did not want to have that handshake.
He's like, what?
89 pitches over 7 innings, and he is done. And so Glode, who grew up on the east end of Long Island, takes outside ball 2.
West looked like he was looking at Freddie. Freddie, have you been watching the game, by the way? I've been styling out there. I'm not ready to go.
He was tremendous. Gave up the home run to Santos and little else as Glode lifts one to left center, cutting over his Sheffield. And that's the second out. So Pelfrey keeps rolling. You know, before Tuesday, the Mets had not had a starting pitcher throw a pitch in the 8th inning all year. Then Levon Hernandez went the distance. And now Pelfrey working in the 8th inning for the first time. And all he's done is retire the last 12.
Well, fine effort by Sean West. If you're a young pitcher out there and you're in the big leagues, you should watch that game. He worked quickly, changed speeds, threw strikes. Pretty impressive.
Now Bonifacio is 0 for 3. Each team with a run on 4 hits. We're in the 8th inning. Corners in against Bonifacio and his speed. And he bluffs the bunt, takes the curveball for ball 1.
And you say to yourself, why would he be bunting here with 2 outs? Well, he has so much speed that it could be a double if he gets on with a base hit. Steals second base.
Pelfrey up over 100 pitches now. And a swinging bunt that'll fall into shallow left center. So Bonifacio gets aboard with the Rafael Furcal play. Didn't work for Furcal in the series in L.A. Worked perfectly for Bonifacio.
Oh, nice job. See, squares up and kind of butcher boys it over the head of Martinez. Now, he's not trying to hit a pop-up over the shortstop's head. What he's trying to do is hit a little line drive between third base and short.
So Bonifacio aboard. Dan Warthen will visit the mound. That gives us a chance to go to Chris Carlin in the studio for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the Nats have just scored 3 in the top of the 6th. Anderson Hernandez a 2-run single, and they now trail the Phillies 5-4. Right here, a 1-1 game in the 8th. The speedy Emilio Bonifacio on at first with 2 out. Chris Coughlin, the batter. Coughlin has scored the only Marlin run. He tripled over Beltran's head in left center in the 4th, and came home on Dan Uggla's sacrifice fly. Bonifacio, 9 steals on the year. He's been caught 4 times. Pelfrey with the slide step, and he misses low.
Well, you saw Dan Warthen go out to speak to Mike Pelfrey, and he's been sailing along. So what would he say, really? It really was out to talk to him about 2 things. One, the running game of Bonifacio, his ability to steal a base. And secondly, you see with the 2 slide steps, to make sure you use that slide step, give your catcher Santos a chance.
Well, you know, Pelfrey has not pitched out of the stretch since the 4th inning. He had retired 12 in a row, and, you know, he's had this problem with stepping off and trying to figure out where his feet and his hands belong. Wide to Coghlan, and it's 2-1. Mike threw 111 pitches his last start in Boston. That's his season high. He's up to 105 tonight. Two and one, and that's below the knees. So Pelfrey, who has not walked a batter tonight, is behind 3-1. It's his first 3-ball count since the first inning. He went 3-2 on Uggla before striking him out in the first. That was his only other 3-ball count tonight. 3-1 to Coghlan. The runner goes, and it's hit down the left field line. Foul. 3-2 to Coghlan.
Omir Santos out there to talk to Pelfrey. Want to get on the same wavelength here for this all-important 3-2 pitch. Bonifacio is going to be on the run, so you don't pay him any mind. He's out of the picture. All you're doing as a pitcher now, just concentrating on this pitch. See what Omir with the peak and see what he decides to throw.
Ball 4, first walk of the night for Pelfrey, and that'll move the lead run into scoring position with Uggla coming up, and that's going to be all for Pelfrey as Jerry Manuel makes his way out to the mound. So Pelfrey was 1 out away from finishing the 8th inning. The slug bunt by Bonifacio kept it going, and now the first walk goes to Coghlan, and the Mets will go to the bullpen here in the 8th inning and bring in Bobby Parnell to get the one big out they need against the home run bat of Dan Uggla. This pitching change is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Parnell trying to keep the game tied in the 8th inning. Two on, 2 out, 8th inning, and Bobby Parnell comes in to face Dan Uggla, who's 0 for 2 and is driven to the Marlins' only run with a sacrifice fly.
We saw Parnell use his sliders last start. He might have to use it here. First pitch hitting will be Uggla.
A long hold by Parnell, and he throws the fastball up and away for ball 1.
Well, Bobby, so far his numbers have been outstanding in this young season. Only 9 walks in those 20 innings pitched.
Nice bounce back outing. His last appearance on Wednesday struck out 2 of the 3 batters he faced. And Uggla ahead of the count 2-0. Well, he's not going to get a win tonight. He could even get a loss, but he pitched winning baseball.
Well, he's been doing it. Look at it. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts again. That's 2 games in a row with 6 punch-outs.
Big pitch to make here for Parnell, behind on Uggla 2-0 with Cantu on deck. And a knee-high strike, 2-1. Pedro Feliciano getting ready for John Baker, 2 batters away. Two and one to Ugla. Slider, 2-2.
Good slider here from Bobby Parnell. 2-1 count. Ugla's got to be looking change up. Ends up with the whirly bird.
The slider wouldn't bite. Now it's 3-2. So now the runners will be in motion. You got the great speed of Bonifacio at second and Coghlan at first. They'll both be on their way with 3-2 and 2 down. Little tapper past Parnell. Castillo's got it. Quick toss out at first. Side retired. Parnell comes in to get one huge out. And now the Mets will have the top of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 8th against the Marlins bullpen. Our New York 529 Plan SNY Kids Caster Grand Prize winner. Congratulations to Kyle Singh from Jamaica, New York. Kyle will be joining us in the broadcast booth during the game July 29th against the Rockies. The New York 529 College Savings Plan would like to congratulate and thank all of our contest participants and finalists for a job well done. Kiko Calero comes out of the Marlins bullpen to pitch the bottom of the 8th.
Well, he's really been their best guy in the bullpen, other than the closer Matt Lindstrom. This is his 29th game. He's on a pace to pitch at 95 plus.
We first saw Kiko as a St. Louis Cardinal. He was with Oakland last year and hurt for a good portion of the year. Angel Pagan 0 for 3 tonight. Castillo and Beltran to follow as the Mets try and break the tie. And a curveball in for a strike, 0-1. Great outing by Sean West in his second big league start. 89 pitches over 7 innings. He allowed a run on 4 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. 1-1 to Pagan, who bats left-handed for the first time tonight. Better left-hand hitter than right.
You're going to see a lot of cutters and sliders from Kiko Calero.
There's a breaking ball for a strike. Calero actually began the year in the minor leagues, was called up the first week of the season. The lefties are hitting just 200 against him. The righties just 132. That's how good he's been. Marlins guarding the lines here in the 8th inning in a tie game. And the off-speed pitch taken high, 2-2. The Marlins bullpen has worked more innings than any bullpen in the major leagues. And that's not necessarily a good thing. 2-2. Breaking ball hit hard, base hit. With Cantu playing the line, Pagan hit it back to his right. If Cantu's playing a normal position, that might be an out. Instead, the Mets have the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 8th.
What can you say about this crew for the Mets? Angel Pagan leading off, doing the Reyes thing, getting on first base just by Jorge Cantu, like you said, Gary, guarding that line, but just every single time coming up with big hits. The ball's supposed to be down and away, back door, comes back over the middle of the plate.
Well, let's see how the Mets choose to play this. You've got Castillo, a terrific bunter. You've got Pagan, a good base stealer. You got your big hitters up behind Castillo. Castillo had his stretch of 9 straight plate appearances reaching base, ended his last at bat when he grounded out to short. Marlins playing for the bunt. Your Home Depot doing more on defense.
Well, we see their alignment up the middle, double play depth. Helms all the way in. Cantu's got to hold the runner at first. Pagan has great speed.
Pagan 4 for 4 stealing bases. Castillo ready to bunt, but takes up and in for ball 1. What a difference in these situations late in games when you get that leadoff man on.
Leadoff man on, and you got Castillo hitting in the second slot. As you see the signs given by Razor Shines. Louis probably, I have to say, the best bunter on the Mets team.
Cantu holding against Pagan. The Marlins outfield is shallow, but the left fielder Coughlin not as shallow as some we've seen because he's new out there.
He's an infielder by trade, so he's going to be a little more conservative in left field.
Castillo will drop a lot of balls into shallow left, but here undoubtedly looking to bunt. And he bunts it right to the third baseman Helms, who has to go to first, and that moves the potential go-ahead run into scoring position. 5-3 on the sacrifice by Castillo.
Picture perfect by Louis. Watch this bunt. Helms all the way in, but he makes Helms go to his right. And for a fraction of a second, I think Helms was thinking of maybe should I let it go foul, but he picked it up and gets the out.
Do you like Louis' style where he holds his hands so close together on the bunt?
I don't think everyone can do that. And you can see his hands, but look at his eyes right on the baseball. And I said it earlier with one of the pitchers, Sean West was bunting. He catches the ball with the bat. He doesn't push the ball over there. Classic form.
Well, now the Marlins have a choice. You got Beltran at the plate, a switch hitter. You got Sheffield, a right-hand batter, but red hot, standing on deck, first base open. Of course, if you walk Beltran to pitch to Sheffield, that means you're probably also going to have to pitch to right. So what are the Marlins going to do?
Well,
that's the only left-hander in the Marlins bullpen, Dan Meyer. Reniel Pinto, normally the other lefty out there, is on the disabled list right now.
Kiko Calero has something on his side. Sheffield only 4 at-bats against Kiko, but 0 for 4. So I think you walk Beltran in this instance and go against Sheffield, try to get the double play.
Beltran is 0 for 3 against Calero, but he will get the intentional pass. And so Sheffield will bat with 2 men on. So Sheffield, who's been the hottest hitter in the Mets lineup over the last week, gets an opportunity to break up the game in the 8th inning.
Well, there was a time in Sheffield's career that this would never have happened. But he's so red hot, he's hitting like he did 10 years ago.
That was almost a catcher's balk right there. The catcher is not allowed to leave the catcher's box before the ball's released, and Baker almost did. I think I've seen it called once in the last 30 years, but that was pretty close.
Well, what he did is he came back in. That is something you don't want to do.
Chris Baker, a relatively inexperienced catcher. Had they called a catcher's balk, then Pagan would be on third.
Well, we saw Gary Sheffield the last game against Stammen, not the last game, but against Stammen for the Nationals, on that little slider away. He took it in the right center field gap. Those are the kind of pitches he'll get from Calero.
Pagan, the go-ahead run at third. He has terrific speed. And Beltran with tremendous speed at first as well. Sheffield 0 for 3 tonight. Uggla playing right near the bag, so Pagan can't kick it too far away.
Pagan will not be stealing third with Sheffield at the plate, by the way. But good job by Calero, just letting him know that he's paying attention.
And Gary takes the breaking ball outside, ball one. Sheffield almost never swings at the first pitch. His percentage of first pitch swings is under 7%.
But as an older hitter with Calero, he gets that first pitch slider away for a ball. Does he sit on another slider?
And that one misses high, 2-0. Ryan Sanchez, furthest from you, gets up alongside the left-hander Meyer in the Florida bullpen. .34-year-old Kiko Calero. 40-year-old Gary Sheffield. 2-0 the count. And a breaking ball, missed ball 3. Threw him a 2-0 slider with David Wright standing on deck. Now it's 3-0. A walk would push the go-ahead run to third with 1 out. Would you let him swing?
Not swinging here.
Ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So after walking Beltran intentionally, Calero walked Sheffield on 4 pitches to push the go-ahead run to third, and now the Mets are a fly ball away from grabbing the lead in the bottom of the 8th. David Wright tonight has hit the ball hard twice. Line to left, line to third, and then flied out to center.
David, only 1 sacrifice fly this season.
3 homers, 30 RBIs for Wright. His last career grand slam came in 2006. Mets would settle for a fly ball right here. And the curveball in for a strike, 0-1. So after throwing 4 in a row out of the strike zone to Sheffield, Calero gets that breaking ball over for a first pitch strike. Tatis on deck. Oh, 1 to right. That one missed, and it's 1-1. David did not start the year well with runners in scoring position, but he's been scorching it for a month.
And he's 2 for 3 with the bases loaded and less than 2 outs.
Breaking ball fouled away, and one a hit there, and it's 1-2.
You're right, Gary. He did. This is the one where the hitters want that pitch back. A little floater right in the middle of the plate. Hanger and just underneath. You see he closed his eyes, couldn't believe that he missed that pitch. And Calero take a shot, try to surprise Wright with a fastball inside. That would be the pitch. But really has gone with the slider the entire time in this inning.
Bases loaded, 1 out. 1-2 to David Wright. Fouled it away.
The problem you have for a pitcher, a reliever, when he comes in and throws slider after slider after slider, is that right there. That's a perfect pitch on the outside corner. David's able to fight it off because that's all he's seen.
Again, the 1-2. Fouled away again. Another slider by Calero. That's 5 in a row to right.
The wheels are turning. You can see it on the face of John Baker.
Slider struck him out. He kept going back to it. 6 consecutive sliders, and Calero strikes out right for the second out.
Well, good pitch by Calero. Just ends up about 4 or 5 inches outside corner. The ones that David fouled off, not able to catch up to this one.
Well, Fernando Tatis is going to bat here, and I'm a little surprised. I would have thought that Jerry would send up Daniel Murphy in this spot.
He likes the matchup, I guess, of Tatis against Calero better than Murphy and Meyer. That's all I can think would be the reason.
Tatis 0 for 15 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position this year. And he takes a strike. Pagan, Beltran, and Sheffield, the base runners with 2 down. Mets trying to snap a 1-1 tie in the 8th. Calero with a huge strikeout to get right for the second out, leaving it up to Tatis.
How about that breaking ball drill in spring training, taking it the other way off Calero.
0-1. Slider swung and missed. 0-2.
Another good slider down from Calero. I think you have to be really cognizant if you're Pagan on third base. He might try to bounce one here, 0-2. Inexperience of Baker, you might get a chance to score a run on a wild pitch or pass ball.
So now Tatis in a 2-strike hold. Just got a piece to stay in the at-bat. It's been such a rough stretch for Fernando Tatis. Fernando Martinez with the bat in his hands.
When he was going good earlier in the year, Fernando Tatis did a nice job with 2 outs and 2 strikes, hitting the ball the other way. Everything from Calero has been on the outside part of the plate.
Bases loaded, 2 down. And Tatis golfs one foul. Kiko Calero's thrown 25 pitches in this inning, and other than the intentional walk, just about everything has been a slider. It has been a very rough go for Tatis in these spots. And now in the hole, 0-2. Breaking ball hit to right field. Hermida toward the line. Side retired. Kiko Calero gets himself out of a bases loaded jam as he strikes out right, gets Tatis on the fly ball, and that will send us to the 9th with the game still tied at 1. square off against Josh Johnson and the Marlins as the Mets continue their series here at Citi Field. Mets Marlins coverage begins tomorrow at 12:30 only on SNY. Frankie Rodriguez comes on to pitch the 9th inning in a tie game. Frankie pitched on Wednesday in a non-save situation to finish it off for Johan Santana. Gave up an unearned run on 1 hit. He'll face Jorge Cantu, John Baker, and Cody Ross in the top of the 9th. I want to go back to Jerry deciding not to bat Murphy for Tatis in that last inning, because you made a good point about maybe he didn't want the matchup with the lefty Meyer. There's a slider for a strike, 0-1. But look at it this way. At the worst, what would have happened if you had that is that you would have forced Freddie Gonzalez to use the only lefty in his bullpen, so that even if Murphy doesn't get a hit now, Freddie doesn't have that lefty later on.
Agreed. And with Murphy, you're getting, even though he's a young player, he's a well-accomplished pinch hitter. He's done a nice job.
Coming off a 5 RBI game on Wednesday. 0-2 to Cantu, who's 1 for 3 tonight. And Frankie bounces that one, 1-2. Now it's been 6 days since K-Rod had those back spasms in Boston. Look at those pinch hitting numbers for Murphy, as Ronnie was mentioning. It's pretty extraordinary for a young player.
Unbelievable.
One and 2 to Cantu. Lifted foul. This is the 3rd outing for Rodriguez since that bout with back spasms that sent him to the hospital in Boston. Admitted to being a little sore after pitching on Monday. Felt better after pitching on Wednesday. But nothing he can't work with.
Well, when he got the back spasms, he had a chiropractor try to work it out and made it only worse.
Jammed Cantu and he fouled it off. It's a funny thing, Bax.
Yeah. Oh.
You know, you go from debilitating pain to a state where you can function in a relatively short period of time, and you just hope that they'll come back again. Because Frankie said it's the first time he'd ever experienced that. It's not like he has a chronic issue. 1-2 to Cantu. Struck him out. Change up from Rodriguez, strikes out Cantu, 1 away.
Well, Frankie will throw some balls over the plate early in the count, but once he gets ahead, that powerful leg kick and that push off the mound results in a strikeout to Cantu. You know, Gary, I never had any back pain when I played, and I know guys who would miss games with back pain. I go, boy, you know, you can't be missing that game. I got it after I retired. I was like a little child in the fetal position for 2 days. It was awful.
There's John Baker, 0 for 3, has struck out twice tonight. And he takes ball 1. Mike Pelfrey was tremendous tonight. 7 2/3, 1 run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Bobby Parnell came on to get the final out in the 8th. And now K-Rod in the 9th in a tie game. Swing and a miss. 1-1 to Baker. Matt Lindstrom is up to your left in case the Marlins get a lead. Leo Nunez to your right in case they don't. Each team has only 5 hits in this game. And Baker swings and misses at the changeup. 1-2.
Well, Baker's like, make up your mind, K-Rod. Are you going to throw something that's coming in, curving into my bat, or going away from my bat? Good curveball first for Baker, and then good changeup.
Now Frankie has him where he wants him at 1-2. Fastball grounded out to short. And Ramon Martinez tosses out Baker, 2 out. Masterful pitching by Frankie Rodriguez. 2 out and nobody on for Cody Ross. Ross is 0 for 2 tonight. He was also hit by a pitch. Just got his uniform shirt in the 4th inning. Last time up, Castillo made a nice play going to his right and threw out Ross. who was the hottest Marlins hitter coming into the night. And Ross takes up and away for ball one. The Marlins got their run in the fourth, a triple by Chris Coghlan, a sacrifice fly by Dan Uggla. The Mets tied it in the fifth on an Omir Santos home run, and that's been it. Tremendous starting pitching duel tonight between Pelfrey and Sean West. Curveball misses, and it's 2-0 to Ross. Ross, a dangerous hitter.
These Marlin hitters are a lot alike. Uggla, Ross, if they get you in a fastball count, they're very dangerous.
Except K-Rod doesn't throw fastballs in fastball counts. Threw him a curve, and it's 3-0.
K-Rod shaking his head. Can't find the release point yet on that slider.
And Ross swinging 3-0, hits a base hit the other way. Got a fastball on 3-0, but took it to right field. And so the Marlins have their sixth hit. They have a 2-out base runner with Jeremy Hermida coming up.
Well, just trying to jump Rodriguez. He knew he was going to get a fastball. He was too quick for that pitch as he hit it off the end of the bat into right field.
So now Hermida, who flied to deep center field his last time up. He also has lined to short and had a base hit.
He's had the best at bats of any Marlin tonight.
So now Hermida bats with the go-ahead run at first and 2 out. Ross not much of a base stealing threat. And Hermida takes low ball 1. So Andy Fox, the first base coach, with the stopwatch in his hand.
What they do, the first base coach, he'll just time how long it takes Frankie Rodriguez to get rid of the ball to home plate. If it's over 1.5, that's when you tell your runner, hey, you can take a shot here.
And Hermida swings and misses at the changeup, 1-1. Most closers are 1- and 2-pitch pitchers. It's so rare to find a guy with 3 quality pitches like Francisco Rodriguez.
When you have 3 quality pitches, you know what they do? They make you a starter. That's why, not a reliever.
Runner goes, pitch swung and foul tip. Santos' throw right on the money, but safe. At second base is Ross. So Ross picks up only his second stolen base. Tough to throw for Santos on the foul tip, and he nearly got him anyway.
Pretty good throw here by Omir, that ball in the dirt, but it bounces once before it gets to Ramon. That's the difference. If it doesn't bounce, he's able to put that tag right on the bag, keep it low. He had to come up just an instant. Watch as he brings this glove up. Just a little bit to get that hop. Boy, I'll tell you, that back leg did not get to the bag first. That front leg went over the bag.
And he almost got him on the toe before he got there. Nonetheless, Ross safe with his second stolen base of the year. And now the Marlins are a base hit away from grabbing the lead. But Rodriguez ahead on Hermida, 1-2. Just missed. 2-2.
You know, we always talk about if the ball beats you, then you're going to be out. Well, he beat the ball, and I think that's why he got the safe call. Just stayed on with the end of his toe.
2-2 to Hermida. Breaking ball missed. And now a full count to Hermida. Wes Helms, a right-hand hitter on deck. So Santos and Rodriguez will talk about what they do here.
We're not going to talk about it, but I think watching so far for this first couple of months, Francisco Rodriguez is very cognizant of running around second base, relaying the signs. Changes them very often.
You got a right-hand hitter on deck, the pitcher spot behind that, and no left-hand hitters left on Freddie Gonzalez's bench. 3-2 to Hermida. In there for a call, strike 3. Looking for something else, got the fastball, and Hermida down looking. 2 strikeouts in the 9th inning for K-Rod. And now the Mets will try and win it in the bottom of the 9th. And the guy who tied the game, Omir Santos, will lead off in the bottom of the 9th. Mets and Marlins tied it. In the bottom of the 9th. Razor Shines like that last fastball.
Yes, he did. There you go. Come on, guys. Let's get a run. You know, he's got some fire in him, and it's infectious, isn't it?
Leo Nunez will pitch the bottom of the 9th for Florida.
24 games, like all those pitchers in the Florida bullpen, getting plenty of work. He's made 6 starts in the big leagues, but now has become the kind of bridge to Matt Lindstrom.
Was a terrific setup man in Kansas City last year. Santos takes a strike. Omir Santos got us here with a home run leading off in the 5th inning to tie up the ball game against Sean West, who gave up just a run and 4 hits in his second big league start. Santos with a big cut, and it's 0-2. So Omir has him right where he wants him. He was 0-2 on the home run. He was 0-2 his next at bat. Hit the ball pretty well to right field. And now he's 0-2 again. Ramon Martinez on deck, and then the pitcher's spot here in the last of the 9th. Hanley Ramirez with a bat in his hand, sitting out tonight with a groin injury and testing that out as he makes that turn. He was hoping to play tomorrow, certainly could pinch hit tonight. Slider popped up, playable for Helms as he drifts in. Santos retired, 1 away. Well, right after we're done here, be sure to join Chris Carlin and Darryl Strawberry for all of tonight's highlights, interviews, Jerry's post-game reactions. We'll hear from Mike Pelfrey, I'm sure, about his fine outing tonight. All on Lincoln Mercury post-game live right after we're done here, and after every Mets game only on SNY. Well, Daniel Murphy is going to pinch hit here in the bottom of the 9th, batting for Ramon Martinez, who had a couple of hits tonight. Mets had an opportunity in the 8th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out, but Wright struck out and Tatis flied out. Now here in the 9th with 1 out and nobody on, Murphy gets the pinch hitting call after his 5 RBI game on Wednesday.
And with the addition of Wilson Valdez to the team, you're allowed to do this. Hit for the shortstop.
Taken wide for ball 1. And Fernando Martinez has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher. That's with 3 lefty bats on their bench tonight with Murphy, Martinez, and Reed. Fastball on the outside corner, 1-1. There's Fernando, who got a lot of unwanted attention after the game Wednesday for his failure to run out of pop-up. Murphy lifts one to left. Coghlan was playing deep, but he comes on to grab it for the 2nd out. So 2 up and 2 set aside in the bottom of the 9th.
And Murphy angry at missing that pitch. Fastball away from Nunez. Well, Gary, you can turn all those frowns upside down into smiles with a big hit here by Martinez.
Looking for his first big league hit. He's gone 0 for 7 so far. Started 2 games and now being called upon to pinch hit for the first time in the majors against the right-hander Leo Nunez. And Fernando takes low and away, ball 1. So Fernando is batting for Frankie Rodriguez. Mets will need a new pitcher in the 10th if it goes that far. 2-0 though to Fernando Martinez.
And unlike his first few at bats in the major leagues, a little more patient as he's gone along here for Fernando.
8 home runs at Buffalo this year, 7 in the month of May. 2-0. Swinging. High fly ball to center field. And plenty of room for Cody Ross. And we're heading for extra innings at Citi Field. Nunez gets the Mets 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 9th. On to the 10th we go. Mets and Marlins tied at 1. By IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Citi. By SpongeTech, America's cleaning company. By Toyota. By the Nissan Tent Event. And by New Era. Register to win 4 tickets to a future Mets game and field access for batting practice for you and 3 friends by texting Mets to 24656. One lucky fan will be selected at the end of May. Mets playing their 5th extra inning game of the year. They've gone 1-3 in extra innings so far. Wilson Valdez takes over at shortstop after Ramon Martinez left for a pinch hitter, and J.J. Putz will come on to pitch the 10th.
Well, J.J. will be facing the right-handed hitter Wes Helms. Right-handed hitters are only batting 10 for 50 off him, 200 this season.
Wes Helms at the plate and Hanley Ramirez on deck to bat for the pitcher. So essential that Putz get the first man out, with the dangerous Ramirez to follow Helms, who's 1 for 3 tonight, an infield hit back in the 3rd. And fastball knee high for a strike, 0-1. The Marlins have 6 hits. The Mets have 5. The Mets had the best chance to unlock this tie in the 8th inning when they loaded the bases with 1 out but couldn't get the lead run home. So Ramirez, who has sat the last 2 games because of a groin injury, waits to pinch hit.
Well, it doesn't matter how the Marlins are playing, does it? When they come here in Flushing, they always are on top of their game.
Florida started the year 11-1. It had been a slog for them ever since. But they did go to Philadelphia earlier this week and win 2 out of 3, which helped vault the Mets into first place. So Freddie Gonzalez's team put pressure on the top 2 teams in the division. Oh, 2 to the veteran Helms. Too high, 1-2. J.J. Putz worked the 8th inning on Wednesday. Allowed a leadoff walk to Josh Willingham, but then got a double play grounder and got through the inning unscathed. 1-2 to Helms. Grounded foul just outside the bag. Right playing the line, so had it been a fair ball, there's every chance he would have gotten to it.
Jerry playing the lines. Game tied. The ball hooked from Helms. Easy call for the third base umpire. Nice to see that with David now. Not taking any chances. Don't wait for the umpire to call it. Try to make the play.
Jim Reynolds, the third base umpire. The Marlins have been very good in extra innings. They played 7 and they've won 5 of the 7. Most of those came early in the season. Remember, they had that series against Washington early in the year where they trailed going into the 8th inning all 3 games and won all 3. (11-1) at the beginning, 11-25 since. Again, the 1-2, and Helms fouls off another one. You see the difference between the first 12 and what has followed. The Marlins were under 500 by the 35 game mark, which is amazing.
Wow.
If you start out 11-1. Only one other team in history has gone from 10 games over to below 500 earlier in a season. The 2002 Indians, they started off 11-1, and then they were 13-14.
Oh.
So they lost 13 of the next 15 games after the 11-1 start. Marlins didn't fall that fast, but it was pretty close. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat to Helms if it ever comes. Putz tends to work at a very leisurely pace.
Deliberate.
That's being kind. Slow. And Helms watches strike 3 call. Knees in black to get Helms for the first out of the inning.
Wow, perfect pitch there from J.J. Putz. Fastball right on the corner, right at the knees.
Well, we have seen some wonderful pitchers duels this season. This one's somewhat unexpected in that you had a rookie Sean West making just his 2nd big league start, but he and Pelfrey put on a show tonight.
Yeah, Pelf was great. Sean West was outstanding also, working quickly, throwing strikes. Riches for the Florida Marlins as they have some great young starting pitching.
And we'll see 2 more of them the next 2 days in Josh Johnson and Chris Volstad. Now Hanley Ramirez pinch hitting. Hanley hitting at .320. Took himself out of the game on Tuesday for Florida because of a slight groin injury. Didn't start on Wednesday or again tonight. Normally the number 3 hitter for Florida after spending most of his career as a leadoff hitter. 8 homers, 22 RBIs for Hanley Ramirez. And he fouls one at the plate, 1-1. Not a whole lot of pinch hitting in his background. 5 career pinch hit at bats. Guy who plays every day.
How about those spikes, Gary?
Marlin color.
Rubber sole at the bottom.
Wow. In teal. Bet you couldn't go into a store and buy that. Got him chasing, and it's 1-2. To Ramirez, and the splitter taken low. 2-2. Emilio Bonifacio, the leadoff hitter, waiting on deck. Two. Fouled away. Woods has had some nice life on his fastball tonight.
He also has thrown some very good split fingers today.
Again, the 2-2 to Ramirez. Grounded out to short. Wilson Valdez gets in front of it. Throws out Ramirez, 2 away. Wilson Valdez has developed a reputation over a well-traveled career as an outstanding defensive shortstop.
Well, you can see it right there. Not only getting to the ball quickly, but that quick release with something on it.
I mean, he made that transfer about as quick as you're going to see a shortstop make it.
You know, some guys just have the hands, Gary, and you can't teach that. Gets up, fires a strike.
It's a routine play, but just the actions.
Yeah.
He's not a kid. He's 31 years old and has been with 4 different major league teams. He played Korea and Japan last year as Reyes looks on at Valdez, whom Jose has known since he was young. 2 out and nobody on now. Bonifacio is 1 for 4 tonight. Had the slug bunt for a base hit with 2 out of the 8th that gave the Marlins a chance against Pelfrey. Pelfrey had retired 12 in a row before Bonifacio lofted one over the shortstop's head. And a good splitter. 0-2.
All of the splitters today have been going down. That's what we want to see. That pitch, you really honestly always want that pitch to be in the dirt. It's a swing and miss pitch.
And as a hitter, you've got to know if that ball starts at your knees, you got to lay off.
The problem is that he's got a true enough fastball at 94, 95 miles an hour that you cannot sit on that split finger.
Bounced out to Castillo, who comes in to get it. And Puts comes on to pitch a 1-2-3 top of the 10th. Now the Mets will send the top of the batting order up in the bottom of the 10th, trying to win it at Citi Field. At SNY.TV and access Mets blog, one of the most popular online sources for Mets information, with ongoing fan discussions, opinion, game analysis, and exclusive player and coach interviews. Mets blog featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Bottom of the 10th, and the lone lefty in the Florida bullpen, Dan Meyer, comes on.
Oh, Danny Myers had a good season, too. It's interesting. Nunez has pitched, Calero has pitched, Meyer has pitched in this tight game. They've really been the best pitchers for the Marlins. 2.57 ERA. Look at those batting averages against. Meyer does not give up many hits.
Especially to the right-handers. Mets will have to switch hitting. Pagan, Castillo, and Beltran all coming up right-handed against Meyer. Johan Santana urging his teammates on. Usually when the Mets don't score a lot, it's Santana's night. Although the last 3 times Santana's pitched, the Mets have given him a bounty of offense. Pagan tonight is 1 for 4. He led off the 8th inning with a base hit. Mets couldn't get him around. Now he leads off in the 10th and takes a strike. Pagan's only hit tonight came in his lone at bat as a left-hand batter, back to batting right-handed as he did against the starter West. Pulled foul, and it's 0-2. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays have finally won a game. Beat the Red Sox tonight 6-3 to snap a 9-game losing streak.
Wow.
And Pagan fouls it away. Also tonight in Baltimore, Luke Scott hit 2 home runs for the 2nd straight night as Baltimore beat Detroit 7-2. It's pretty good. Back-to-back 2 home run game.
He had a great spring training for Baltimore. Luke Scott, originally with the Houston Astros, I believe.
Again, the 0-2 to Pagan in the dirt. 1-2.
By the way, Baltimore's playing a lot better than they have the past few seasons. They've got some nice young talent.
5 straight wins now. And if Tampa Bay loses tonight, they would move past Tampa Bay and out of the cellar. See, Tampa Bay lost to Cleveland yesterday for the 17th straight time in Cleveland.
I don't know how that happens. You got to get lucky at some point.
1-2. Pagan hooks one foul. An awkward looking swing, but he managed to pull it foul.
That was awkward because he was out front on his front foot and just kind of threw the bat at it.
Mets batting in the bottom of the 10th in a 1-1 game. The only run for the Mets came on a 5th inning home run by Santos. And Pagan hits one to left center field. Moving back is Cody Ross. Has room at the edge of the track for the first out. Well, Pagan making a bid, but those gaps are large at Citi Field.
Boy, he hit that pretty good, but just in the wrong ballpark here at Citi.
He's playing in Philadelphia tonight.
Oh, game's over. Bus leaves in 45 minutes, Gary.
Speaking of Philly, Phillies are up 5-4 on the Nats in the bottom of the 8th at Citizens Bank Park. Well, here's Castillo, who's had another good night at the plate. Walk, single, ground out, sacrifice, 1 for 2. 7 for 14 over the last 4 games. And he hits one in the air to left field, not deep at all. Coughlin coming in. So Meyer has come on, got 2 fly ball outs, and now Carlos Beltran will bat with 2 out and nobody on. Beltran returning to the lineup tonight after missing 2 games. Has gone 0 for 3 with an intentional walk. That means that he's now reached base in 44 of the 45 games that he's played this year. 3 of Carlos's 6 home runs have come as a right-hand batter in far fewer at-bats than he's had from the left side. Takes a big hack, 0-1.
A little late there, but that's a good pitch for Beltran to hit. Just a little up, and he's a little late.
Carlos 1 for 3 in his career against Meyer, and that 1 was a home run. Mets have had 2 walk-off wins this year, 1 on an infield hit and 1 on a walk. They're due for a walk-off home run.
There you go. Right man up.
Another Citi Field first. 1-1. Way inside. Beltran has to jump. 2-1.
Well, Meyer pitches a lot inside to these right-handed hitters. But Beltran, a nice pitch to hit now, and that's why you got Wes Helms right on that line at third base.
2-1 to Carlos with Sheffield on deck. And it's on the outside corner. Good paint job by Meyer. 2-2. The middle of the Mets order has been held in check tonight. Beltran, Sheffield, Wright, a combined 0 for 10. Throw in Tatis, 0 for 14. Now it's 3-2 to Beltran. The outfield's as deep as they can play to cut down on any kind of extra base hit. Three-2 from Meyer, and Beltran pops it foul, backing out of play.
Well, you have to give Meyer credit. He's coming right after Beltran, but if he lowers that pitch just a little bit, right in the happy zone for Carlos Beltran. Was Hair playing here tonight, or
say Halloween in May? Again, the 3-2 to Beltran. Fouls off another one. Keeps getting fastballs. Timing them out. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Beltran. Popped it up. This one's in play. Baker waiting and catches it in fair territory. Mets are down 1-2-3 before Dan Meyer in the 10th. On to the 11th, still tied at 1. Somewhere in that big city, Chris Carlin is standing by with Darryl Strawberry for Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Think they're having a snack? Meanwhile, back here in Queens, J.J. Putz gets set to pitch his second inning of the night. There's the pitching lines for tonight, and the Met pitching has been extraordinary. So has the Marlins. So we're 1-1 into the 11th as Chris Coghlan leads off. He scored the only Florida run tonight. Coghlan tripled over the head of Beltran in the 4th inning. And then scored on a Dan Uggla sacrifice fly. Pelfrey with his deepest outing of the year, 7 2/3. It's funny how that works, isn't it? We've talked for weeks about how no Met pitcher had pitched in the 8th inning, and now all of a sudden twice in a week.
You know, Jerry's so sly. You'd have to think that maybe extending Livan Hernandez was his way of showing these young guys that, hey, Livan, he can pitch a complete game. How about you guys?
And why not? Particularly a guy like Pelfrey.
Yeah.
If he's throwing strikes, he should be able to pitch all night.
Absolutely.
Two right-hand batters behind Coghlan, Uggla and Cantu, the 3 and 4 hitters. And Putz misses high. Now it's 3-1. Coghlan takes it high, ball 4, and Putz has walked the leadoff hitter in the 11th inning. And now he's got to deal with the big bats of Uggla and Cantu.
Well, Dan Warthman on the phone. These are the kind of things that you get when you have your 8th inning guy or 9th inning guys. They're not used to going out and pitching, sitting on the bench, and going back out. Sometimes you can see them from inning to inning lose it completely.
Well, we saw the same thing with Putz against the Nationals on Monday night. He came in to get the final out of the 7th. Then he came back for the 8th and walked the first 2 hitters before working out of that jam. And here history repeats itself as he walks Coghlan, coming back for his 2nd inning. So far this year in the major leagues, leadoff walk has come in to score nearly 45% of the time. A huge difference from if the leadoff hitter is retired. Uggla 0 for 3 and a sacrifice fly has driven in the only Florida run. And he's up there to bunt. Wow. That's a shocker. Uggla does have 1 sacrifice this year. And he looks down to Bo Porter to see if it's still on. Pedro Feliciano, Brian Stokes up in the Mets bullpen. This is more surprising than it would have been a few weeks ago because Uggla has been hitting home runs lately, which is what he does best.
Well, you got to keep an eye on Coghlan at first base. Does Putz last year in Carolina, still 34 bases. So he's got some outstanding speed.
And Lindstrom hoping for a save opportunity, starts throwing lightly in the Florida bullpen. Wright hedging his bets at 3rd as to whether Uggla is going to be bunting again. David staying back even with the bag. I don't think he's sold.
But both times Putz threw over there not only to keep Coghlan close but to see if Uggla would tip his hand. He did not.
Uggla did not have a sacrifice last year. One this year. Tatis holding against Coghlan, who gets himself a healthy lead. And Uggla swings and misses. 0-2.
Well, it's almost like Freddie Garcia saw that first futile attempt at bunting in that first pitch and decided to take it off. Uggla was trying to shoot that ball between the first and second base hole.
It's not really his game, is it?
No.
So now Putz ahead 0-2. And Uggla check swings one in front of the plate. It has the effect of a sacrifice, and Santos throws him out. It's funny how things work, isn't it? He had no intention of doing that, but it winds up just like a sacrifice, except that Uggla gets charged with the time at bat.
Check swing by Uggla off the end of the bat, stays fair. Quick as a cat, Santos on top of it to get the out. And the Met killer so far this year, Jorge Cantu, coming up the bat. I don't know if that's worthy of a fist bump, is it? The check swing bunt.
It's all about the results.
I got you.
Cantu 1 for 4 tonight, a double back in the 4th inning, his first extra base hit in more than 3 weeks. Go ahead run at second with 1 out. And the splitter is low for ball 1.
The Mets are going to have to do a little better job of holding Coghlan closer to second base. Louis just let him go. Wilson Valdez is playing in the hole, playing Cantu to pull, and Coghlan can get off as far as he wants. 34 steals last year.
1-0 to Cantu, and that's in at the knees for a strike, 1-1. The Marlins tonight 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Their only run coming on a sacrifice fly. Cantu playing with that pad on his left hand after hurting that hand early in the season, and it still gives him some trouble from time to time. Check swing, and he went around. That's the kind of move that will hurt that hand. 1-2 now.
Again, another good split finger from J.J. Putz down in the strike zone. Angel Hernandez made that call.
Putz has faced 5 batters. He's struck out 1. He's walked 1. Coghlan at second and 1 out. Now the 1-2. Cantu shoots it foul. The Phillies have beaten the Nationals 5-4, so the Mets need to win tonight to stay in first place. J.A. Happ won it. Ross Detweiler lost it. Brad Lidge got his 10th save. To Cantu. Back toward the middle. Valdez far to his left. He has it. 2 out. Nice range by Wilson Valdez. He made that look easy, and it wasn't. As Coghlan moves over to third, 2 out.
That looked like a base hit off the bat, because we just alerted you that he had been playing him in the hole. Had to go all the way up the middle. Fine play by Valdez. One-handed there.
And he was a little nervous on the pickup that he might have lost it. But he makes the play. Now John Baker, the left-hand hitter, comes up. And Jerry Manuel on his way out to the mound. And with Putz having already gone an inning and 2/3, we may see Feliciano here to face Baker.
And with the 3 catchers, you might be able to counter with maybe Ronnie Paulino. Or
I think the Mets would welcome that, given Baker's bat. So Putz exits. Feliciano comes on to try and keep it tied in the 11th. Mets and Marlins play in the 11th inning. Pedro Feliciano brought on to pitch with the go-ahead run at third.
Well, he got that big out in the Washington game with the strikeout, did Pedro Feliciano. And he's been pitching so well with runners on base. They're only 4 for 40 off him this year.
But right-hand hitters hitting .321, and so Freddie Gonzalez responds with his right-hand batting catcher, Ronnie Paulino, batting for John Baker. With the go-ahead run at third and 2 out, Feliciano throws a fastball that misses in, ball 1. Notable in that strikeout for Feliciano of Adam Dunn is that he threw a lot of fastballs in that at bat.
Problem with Paulino, he's a very good fastball hitter.
You got another right-hand batter in Cody Ross waiting on deck. And Paulino takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. J.J. Putz went an inning and 2/3, allowed just one base runner, but that won the leadoff walk to Coghlan, is now standing on third. That's a great job by Feliciano getting that first batter out. 21 of 25. That's so important for a relief pitcher.
What a play by Santos. Wants the fastball inside. This one's in the other batter's box. Quick reactions.
Paulino, who was in spring training with the Phillies, traded to first the Giants and then the Marlins. On 2-1, loops one foul, and it's 2-2. He's done most of his hitting against lefties. Feliciano, the 5th Met pitcher of the night. Pelfrey went the first 7 2/3. Then Parnell, K-Rod, Putz, and now Pedro Feliciano. 2-2. Off speed, misses, 3-2.
You usually see that happen. When you think about Feliciano's best pitch is fastball. Second is his slider. That was a changeup there. The reason you don't see it, pitchers are going to kick themselves if they get beat on their third pitch.
A walk is not a heartbreaker here. You got 2 bases open. 3-2 to Paulino. It's hit in the air to center field. Easy for Beltran. And so Feliciano comes on, gets the fly ball out from Ronnie Paulino. And now the Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the 11th with Sheffield, Wright, and Tatis in a 1-1 game.
Non-roster invite to spring training this year.
Well, Sanchez, a guy who's on a tour of the National League East, as Ronnie Paulino stays in to catch. Sanchez pitched for the Phillies. Last year he pitched for the Nationals. It's only got 2 more teams left. Marlins bullpen, which is not the best bullpen in the league, has been tremendous tonight. Kiko Calero got himself in and out of trouble in the 8th. Dan Meyer pitched a 1-2-3 9th. Leo Nunez pitched a 1-2-3 9th. And Dan Meyer a 1-2-3 10th. And now the Mets will have the big bats of Sheffield, Wright, and Tatis to try and get it done in the 11th. Sheffield tonight 0 for 3 and a walk. So now Sanchez ready to go. And Sheffield takes a fastball for a strike. Third baseman Helms almost standing on the line. But the first baseman Cantu well off the line. Slider off the plate, and it's 1-1 to Sheffield. Gary has driven in a run in 6 consecutive games, but held in check so far tonight. One from Sanchez, swung and missed. Had him fooled, and it's 1-2.
Good slider here by Sanchez. Look at the position of Ronnie Paulino, that left knee on the ground.
30-year-old Brian Sanchez out of Lamar University with the 1-2 to Sheffield. That slider missed, and it's 2-2. Mets trying to break through here in the bottom of the 11th. On a day their offense has been stymied by the Marlins. 2-2. Swing and a foul tip. He just barely got a piece of that to keep the at-bat alive. Sanchez almost had Sheffield struck out.
Well, you see, he takes the ball right out of his glove first, kind of short arms it up there. And the foul tip almost caught the shoulder. Sorry, caught underneath the bicep of Paulino.
Sheffield a menacing figure in a tie game. Lines one, base hit. And the Mets get the leadoff man on to the bottom of the 11th. Their first hit since the 8th inning.
Sheffield finally gets a slider up in the strike zone, hanging inside. And boy, this fountain of youth that Gary has found in this past 2 weeks. Beautiful top hand.
Well, the Marlins had Dan Uggla bunt to pitch in the top of the inning. Nobody expects David Wright to be bunting here.
Well, he had a chance in that 1 inning in the 9th, or was it the 8th, to come through. Didn't happen. Chance for redemption here for David.
Leadoff man aboard in the bottom of the 11th. And David takes the strike, letter high, 0-1. Mets had the bases loaded and 1 out in the 8th. And Wright struck out against Kiko Calero. Tatis then flied out, and the Mets wasted their best chance of the night. Each team now with 6 hits. Inside, he just spun out of the way. 1-1. Boy, we've seen a lot of that with David lately.
Trying to get him off that slider they throw away, so brush him back. And watching David, every time they do that, he seems to come up with a hit.
Sanchez checking in on Sheffield, who has stolen a base this year. One from Sanchez, and Wright swings and misses at the slider. 1-2. David's had 3 career at-bats against Brian Sanchez without a base hit.
Well, just like Kiko Calero, you see that split finger grip by Sanchez. Has it ready. A lot of sliders away to right, off the plate.
Now Sanchez ahead 1-2. Sheffield backing easily with Canto holding him on. Big hole on the right side of the infield for David Wright to shoot at with Cantu holding the runner. Paulino setting up inside as the throw goes to first. Sheffield standing on the bag. One and 2 to right, and David fouls it off. Just as he did in the 8th inning, he had a breaking ball to hit there. It's been an 0 for 4 night for David. He's hit 2 balls hard. Sanchez paying an awful lot of attention to Sheffield.
Too much attention. Attention should be on the hitter at this point.
One, 2. Right swings and foul tips it into the middle of Paulino, and David has struck out for the 2nd time tonight. 1 out of the 11th.
Oh, just the fastball, 4-seamer inside at the waist to David Wright. After all those sliders, the ball's by him.
David has now struck out 11 times in his last 25 at bats. 1 out and 1 on, and now Fernando Tatis, who had an opportunity in the 8th with the bases loaded, but flied out to end that inning. Bats here with 1 out and 1 on in the 11th.
Yep. Well.
4 strikeouts on Wednesday for the first time in his career, and 2 late strikeouts in this game. So now Tatis, and again Sanchez throws over. Terry Manuel made the point that he is planning to give Wright a day off in Pittsburgh on the upcoming road trip, and he'll get Tatis in for a game at third base. David has not had a day off this year. Would have had at least a half a day in Boston had Beltran's knee not come up balky. He would have been able to DH there. There goes Sheffield. Paulino's throw into the runner. It gets away into right center, and Sheffield goes to third.
Well, a little slider up in the zone. Nice one for Paulino to throw, but Sheffield did a nice job and got a big break on first base and alert enough to get up. Boy, this magical mystery tour for Sheffield just keeps rocking.
Well, it's an error on Paulino, but Uggla's got to knock that ball down.
Absolutely.
So now the Mets are a fly ball away from winning it. Infield in, outfield in, with the winning run at third and 1 out.
Hermida in right, good arm. Ross in center, real good arm. And the infield of Coughlin is in the left field.
1-0 to Tatis. It hit him. Ball thrown behind Tatis, hit him. And he'll go to first base. And Tatis not happy at all about that.
Well, that ball surprised Tatis there, not even close.
Mark Wiley, the Florida pitching coach, or actually Freddie Gonzalez, the manager, out to the mound. Groups the entire infield around him.
You know, you say to yourself, that's not even close. And Tatis thought maybe he was trying to hit him. But with a guy in third, you can't take a chance of trying to hit someone. If you don't hit him, it's a pass ball.
Right.
Wild pitch.
It could be over there. So now you got first and third and one out. You got Omir Santos, who runs a little better than your average catcher. So the Marlins have to keep the infield in because they can't assume that they can get a double play. And Santos lines one, base hit, and the Mets win it! Sheffield comes home with the winning run. Santos, who hit the homer to tie it, gets the base hit to win it at the bottom of the 11th.
Well, the Mets started this day